What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is The Way of Kings.
Sorry.
Part 1.
Uh-huh.
The Prelude until Interlude 3.
Part 1 of like 7.
Good luck keeping up with what chapter we're on because they're all named things instead of,
Which is, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. I'm glad that we have a written out reading schedule for people to follow along.
Yeah.
Because you've got like the book, but then you've also got the interludes. So it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be something. Welcome to our brand new adventure into the world of Brandon Sanderson. We've read Mistborn. We've read Elantris. We've read The Emperor's Soul. We've read Warbreaker. And it's time to read a book that is larger than all of those combined. Not actually.
No,
I know, like, realistically
Mistborn
it isn't, but like...
3 books. Like...
True, but it does kind of feel like by this point in Mistborn, we'd finished the Final Empire. And this book hasn't even started yet.
I think that the world of Mistborn was just less complex.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Like there weren't Spren and crabs.
I mean, we do not know if Vin had crabs.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's never like mentioned, but you can't prove that she didn't.
Before we get into it today, we gotta say thank you to 1234 Luker for joining the Nargs of the Nerd Table.
Hell
Welcome
yeah.
in.
Go listen to those audiobook reactions.
And Blue, thank you for becoming a 9-month subscriber over on Twitch.
We're on Twitch.
Appreciate that.
What's up,
thank you
Twitch?
so much.
Hello, chat. I can see a lot of you are very excited, and that makes me excited. So let's...
Oh, James Ross is already telling people not to mention future things.
Yes. No future things.
No future things.
Yes, quick reminder of what we've read so far that you can talk about is just this first section of Way of Kings. Just this section. Nothing else.
Yes.
No, like...
But we will probably spoil a movie from like 20 years ago at some point during this podcast.
And someone will be very, very upset. And then someone
will be really mad that I talked about the plot of The Batman, a movie that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that if you haven't seen yet, you probably don't care that much about The Batman.
Yeah, like that's on you at that point. There has to be like, what is that called? A statute of limitations?
Statute of limitations.
It's
not a statue of limitations.
It is
a statute.
A physical place where you must go petition the gods to be able to spoil things for people.
There's got to be a statue of limitations somewhere.
Okay, so
I went to the statue of limitations in ancient Greece, and I looked upon limitations and I said, "Limitations, please."
Limitations was actually Hephaestus.
I need to know about Daenerys, uniter of the calamari.
Oh, did you add that?
Oh, yeah, Judah Canizarius, thank you for super chatting. Oh,
let's put that there.
No, I have to move it, because it was put where...
No, is that it? Oh, yeah, that's
it is. It was... It's where my...
Yeah, no, that's fair. Judah.
There's going to be little things on screen today when you do stuff like super chat.
What? Are we real streamers now with alerts
Judah,
and things?
Thank you so much for that super chat. Hi from last Friday of the school year. Let's go. Please help.
You know what? You got this.
What do you need help with?
You got this.
We can delay the show, Judah. What questions you got? What can I answer for you?
I can only answer them if they are related to fantasy literature.
Fanty?
Fanty literature.
The good old Fanty literature.
I cannot help you with Sokotoa.
I can't. What questions you got, Judah?
Chat just is like helping with last minute school assignments.
KSB Snow Owl says, I'm reading this for the first time. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. I'm not going to lie, the first several hours of the audiobook were not grabbing my interest at all.
I think that is absolutely valid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to talk about it today. I think that this is the best reading we've had in a while, but not the most interesting we've had in a while.
I understand.
Like, I think, like, oh, shit, there we go. Arzu, thank you for super chatting $10. Nerdy,
thank you.
You gave Discord a collective heart attack by Googling. Next time, ask us for chapter appropriate art. If you Google anything again, I will sponsor you to wear a finger trap during videos.
You know, you have to wear a modesty cuff.
Here's the thing. A finger trap doesn't stop me because I know how to get out of them.
No, you got to cuff your hand.
I googled what a Parshendi looks like. Like, what fucking spoilers could be in a picture of a person?
Oh, I don't know anything. Like,
nah, there would have to be some text along with it.
Oh,
because even if it was like a spoiler, I wouldn't know what it is. Also, the Parshendi look like fucking Klingons from
only
Star
the
Trek
ones
Discovery.
That had like the crests on them.
No, but they look like the Star Trek Discovery Klingons.
Okay.
When they
I
updated
watched one
art.
episode of Discovery. So.
Yeah, not like Worf Klingon, but like new Klingons.
Right. Okay.
I also love that people are like, oh, they changed the Klingon design. They should have just kept it. And it's so funny to me because Klingons have changed, and the look of the Klingons has changed in every single Star Trek iteration.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at the original Klingons, which people don't call original Klingons because they're like, oh yeah, Worf is like the original. No. You have to go back to original series Klingons looked so insane that they had to change it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great reading this week. But if it didn't grab your attention, I understand.
But a little slow.
Because it's slow, but it's good. You know what I'm saying?
And it's just very disconnected. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. That
is all very well written, but is just a lot of stuff. And I'm sure because of Sanderlanche and like all of that stuff, it all comes together eventually.
Yeah. Like I said in the prelude, I was like, this is going to be really cool on a reread.
But I also think that like this suffers from Brandon Sanderson's style more than the other stuff that we've read, which is like, I'm just going to start by introducing stuff and it's going to feel very exposition heavy. And all of his books kind of start with, except Mistborn. I think Violent Empire, because Vin is such an intriguing character from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think Mistborn doesn't suffer from it as much. But I think that Brandon Sanderson's style leans into the beginnings of his book feel like sitting in a lecture at a college class about something.
Sure,
and
I just haven't.
This is the most of that I think that we've had so far.
Yeah, for sure. But I also feel like in terms of fantasy epics, I feel like the ones that I have read all begin kind of that way of like, okay, these are like words and things and we're world building and I need to like let it fall into place. I don't know if that is necessarily the Sanderson style of things as opposed to like the epic fantasy style. I think
That's
is like
so
a
interesting
blend.
to me because I don't agree with you.
The Lord of the Rings is the same.
It isn't. The Lord of the Rings starts with
it's slow.
Hobbits. You know what I mean? Like it starts with a familial relationship. And then the world expands from there.
It is
Wheel
slow,
of Time
though.
starts with a small town.
Yeah.
It doesn't like the most fantasy epics that I've read do not try and start with the whole world at once. They start with a pocket of a world, and then as the main character experiences the world expands with them. Brandon Sanderson doesn't do that. Brandon Sanderson starts with, this character is in this country, this character's in this country, this character's in this country, this is 4,500 years ago, this is, you know what I mean?
And
like,
now we're over here.
And so
now it's this brother.
I don't think that, even like the Game of Thrones gets really big really fast, but it starts in Winterfell.
Yeah.
Right? It starts at the wall, it starts in Winterfell, and then it expands as the characters kind of experience the story more and more. And I think that the show did a really good job capturing that expansion. This really does. This is a book that is like, here's a textbook almost of a bunch of places and things and names and magic systems and gods and Mossy sleeves and all of this stuff. And we'll get to why this matters to the characters a bit later.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's
it's
bad. It's not a criticism of the book. That's just what is happening.
It's definitely overwhelming. My Journey, thank you so much for the super chat. My boyfriend and I are reading this with you, and this is my first time being caught up when you were live, so we can join the chat.
What's up, My Journey? Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, welcome in, guys. Johnny Coleman as well, thank you for that super chat. Reward to Klaus for remembering something from another video. Thank you.
It doesn't happen often.
It does not. Only usually if they're like back to back. It is a privilege and a curse. It's great. I forget so many things that sometimes when I watch it or read it, I'm like, wow, it's like the first time. It's great for me, not for you guys.
Yeah, I think, it's not a criticism of this book to say that, I don't think, right? I'm not criticizing. I'm just acknowledging that, like, if you open the first few chapters of this book and you're like, wow, it kind of feels like I'm being talked to, not like immersed in.
Right.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. That's. Yeah.
But I also think that like the world that we're being told about is very interesting and is very complex and deep and has a lot of stuff going on that is intriguing. I just don't know. I don't necessarily know that I think that it's the most like I've said in the prologue reaction, I don't think it's a very inviting beginning.
Right.
I don't, it's an interesting book in that, like, we're like 300 pages in to a novel, or like 250 pages into a novel. And
I thought it was just under 200.
Maybe just under 200.
But still. Yeah. It's like a novella.
I don't really know what, like, anybody's real goals are.
I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how these things connect.
I'm here for the ride.
The book's 1,200 pages. It's okay that I don't.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the job of a book to, like, by this point you have to set up a certain amount. But it is noticeable that I'm at this point in the book where, like, part 1 ends and I'm like, part 2 kind of needs to start telling a story, because part 1 didn't do that. And
it feels like chapter 11 reaction chapter, that feels like the tipping point, like, very deliberately. So I'm like I'm honestly really excited to read after book club today.
No, I agree.
Judah, thank you so much as well for that super chat. Part 1 was super confusing. First read, but on multiple rereads, there's so much where I'm blown away by the planning. I'll just gotta let it cook. That's what I was saying. I was literally in the reaction. I think I was like, this is gonna be great on a reread. Like, this is
gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
When we understand what any of it is.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I 100% agree with that.
We have a little bit of housekeeping now that hopefully everybody's here and we're getting into things. First off, tomorrow we are streaming at 4 p.m.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we're doing that. It is the Expanse stream that we've been promising our community. It is show-related stuff only.
No book spoilers, because we're going to read the books.
We're going to read the books. Maybe.
We got to get through this fucking tome first.
Excuse me. Yes, we need to read those eventually. But tomorrow, if you want to come hang out and talk Expanse with us, it's going to be chill. There's questions chat in the Discord is open, so you can put questions about the Expanse in there that we can talk about. It's just going to be a we're just going to hang out and talk about, like, our love of the show and what we're excited for next. So that's for the Expanse. We also do have a Reddit. If you're like, I hate Discord, but I would like to see the schedules and stuff like that, I'm going to start making sure that those, like, things are posted there.
Great.
Same with, like, videos and stuff. It's I don't think it's going to be, like, for, like, chatting and things like that. Not really going to go heavy into the Reddit. I don't get Reddit, but I know
there's gonna be a lot of people over there talking about which of Claris's boobs are bigger.
Well, it's
if I know anything about Reddit.
Okay, but it is obviously the left one, and that person who keeps commenting on the right one is, like, so wrong that I just want to, like.
I think that
you learn your left and right in preschool.
I think that they're confused by either the camera flip or.
So they don't know how technology works.
Yeah.
Okay. My left boob is bigger, I can confirm. But we do have Reddit for people who are like, I don't like Discord, but I want to know when things are happening, etc.
Yeah.
So
and the last thing before we get into it is that this podcast is brought to you by MistyMountainGaming.com. MistyMountainGaming.com is a website where you can go to get little rocks carved from the shattered plains. So that you don't have to go there yourself.
Oh, they're shards.
Misty Mountain Gaming has only the best bridge crews running bridges throughout the Shattered Plains so that they can get to those really good crevasses. You want honor crevasse shards? They might be human bone. We don't know, but you can get them at MistyMountainGaming.com. Obviously, most of that is a lie. But what is true is that MistyMountainGaming.com is great. We only
speak the truth.
We really appreciate them. And we only roll their dice at our table because they make good dice.
Yeah.
They just make good dice, guys. You can get 15% off your order over there by using coupon code nerdynightly15. They are the best. We are grateful to them, and we will be talking about them more in the future because we've talked about them in the past. And that partnership ain't going nowhere.
Hell yeah. Unless they see our ad reads finally and are like, Jesus Christ, pull the plug.
No, they don't watch our content.
No.
There's no way
they are too busy.
They might not care. They might be like, they might watch it and be like, nah, it's fine. We haven't said anything truly offensive. The worst thing we ever said was that they... Well, no.
Yeah, no. I was going to say, I think if you go back in our ad reads, Someone
None
was
of it's been
very
offensive.
offended.
It's just been kind of insane.
No, someone was very offended at your ad read about telling me to go back to the kitchen in our, like, because it was like a Helldivers.
Oh, yeah, I was making a Helldivers joke.
You're making a Helldivers joke, and they were like, wow, blatant sexism in your ad read. And we were like, first time. It's okay.
Yeah, because I was making a joke about you being like a wife of democracy.
Yeah. Daddy, thank you for that super chat. My left boob is bigger too. High five.
Pretty sure YouTube hates boobs. I don't know. Some of these girls are getting away with some transparent shit that's questionable.
They might hate boobs, but they like nipples.
The Prelude to the Stormlight Archive.
Mm-hmm.
A book that definitely has lots of boobs in it.
Well, boobs are mentioned once.
Are they?
Well, yeah. Oh my god.
Shallan?
Shallan is like, oh yeah, Jesna's boobs are bigger than mine, basically.
Oh yeah, she do be boobin.
Yeah.
Jesna do be boobin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh god, you just know in high school everyone called her Jesna. Like,
she was the king's daughter. Nobody called her that.
Nah, high school girls are fucking petty.
They didn't say it to her face.
Yeah, but like, you know they're calling her Jesna behind her face.
My God. Behind her head.
All right, we start with Kalak in the Prelude.
Yes.
4,500 years ago.
Yep.
There was a big fight, and he goes to like talk to his boss after the fight to be like, all right, are we going back to hell to wait for the next fight? And his boss is like, nah, dude, I think we're done. Yeah. I think, you know what, just like, shove your sword in this stone here. Let's just not do this anymore.
Excalibur that shit.
And Kalak's like, I didn't know that was an option. All right. And so it's,
yeah, they're like, one of us died, and he's gonna have to stay behind, because fuck him. Let's get out of here. Let's bounce. It's like that friend you, like, left at, like, the mall. You're like, he just kind of was here. Like, let's just fucking go. He can find his own way home, because you were an asshole. Yeah.
And then they do that. They fuck off.
Yep.
Leaving their swords behind.
We learn a lot of words, like thundercasts and shit.
Johnny Coleman, thank you for that super chat. Someone please send them the proper pronunciation for Shallan and Jasna. Guys, at some point, you've got to realize we're never going to pronounce their names right. We're 2.5 years into this project.
Apparently it's like Yasna.
Yasna!
Yeah. Yasna!
Of course it's Yasna for Pride Month.
It is.
But only in Pride Month. In July, she goes back to being Jizna.
That's unfortunate.
Judah Canizares, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
By the way, at least one queer in part 1. Shallan is bi. Is she?
I mean, that's why she was looking at the boobies.
I mean, even if she looks, that doesn't make her bi.
No, I know. I'm making a joke. I don't know if that's true.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. Until we're munching some pussy, I don't believe it. What? No, I'm kidding.
You think that there's gonna be the munchin' or pussy in Brandon Sanderson?
Unfortunately not.
All of the characters in his books are Ken dolls. No genitalia at all.
What?
I didn't mean that literally.
Oh.
It was a joke.
I didn't get it.
Jesus Christ, we're off to a weird start today. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
How did you feel about Kalak and the prelude? Not the prologue, sorry. We have both today.
It's gonna be really cool on a reread.
Maybe.
I think so. I think that we already have like been hearing like these words again throughout the book. Like obviously the chapter that is like the flashback of Kaladin with his dad talks about the heralds and blah blah blah. But like I have no context for that. People are like mad at them for abandoning the fight, which is like kind of fair, but also they like volunteered willingly, and it's like, well, at some point, you know, you get your pension and you go retire.
I'm not really sure what fight they abandoned though, because it seems like this one was over, and then the next one was gonna be like thousands of years from now. See, so like it feels like the fight that they abandoned hasn't happened yet, so I was a little bit confused about that.
I thought it was like a Groundhog Day situation.
Yeah, no, I think it is. But it doesn't, the way that I read the Prelude, it doesn't seem like they abandoned a fight. It seems like they got to the end of this fight and were like, there's going to be another one.
We don't want to do that
in
fight
thousands
again.
of years, and so we won't show up. Yeah.
Oh no, I thought they literally like woke up every day and fought the same fight over and over again.
No.
They were stuck
spent
in a groundhog.
thousands of years in the waiting dream for the cycle to come back around for them to come out and fight again.
So every 1,000 years they
Not
get
every
out
1,000,
of
but
hell,
every like few
torture
thousand.
hell.
Basically, they go to hell and they get tortured until the end of the next age, right? And at the end of the next age, evil, like kind of like the Wheel of Time, right? There's the cycle of the Wheel of Time that's like every like 3,000 years, the dragon fights the Dark One, right? This is kind of that same idea, except that for the 3,000 years in the middle, the heralds go fuck off to the waiting dream where they're fucking tortured to shit, and then they come back and do the fight again. But it seems like they finished this fight, but then people are like, they abandoned the fight because they left the swords behind, I guess. But like, I don't know how like 3,000 years later they don't expect the heralds to just show up again. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
See,
here.
and that's why I feel like it's like a daily thing. My guess is
what
that
do you mean by a daily? Like what based on what?
Well, based on the fact that like they like people know they abandoned the war. That it felt like they were literally stuck in a time loop that they like voluntarily went to go fight in. But for some reason, every time they died, they got sent to hell. And so it's like you spend like hours being tortured, and then you come back, and then you wake up and you fight, and then you
But
maybe
they say
die.
thousands of years in the.
They say thousands of
Prelude.
years. What?
That they're tortured for thousands of years and then they come back.
I thought they had been. I thought this fight had been going on. Like this like daily cycle had been going on for thousands of years.
I didn't get that from the Prelude at all.
Okay, we got very different.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's an interesting start. The thing that I do find interesting about it is it doesn't really set up the other side of the fight at all.
Yeah, I have no idea who they're fighting or why.
Yeah, and I do like, you know, like I think that like in the beginning of Lord of the Rings, you kind of get like the Sauron exists.
Yeah.
This is a very it almost feels written to have these characters talk in a way where they don't actually talk about what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like there's no mention between these two characters about what the conflict is. And so as we go into the rest of the book, I don't really know what they abandoned, like, and I get it. We're gonna get it eventually. It just kind of it did feel a little bit like, oh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I sometimes bristle at that, just because I'm like, it's okay to just tell the audience.
I also love
what to care about.
I love the name Oath Pact because it's just like saying bread.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I think it isn't. I think that a pact is between a group of people. I think that calling it an oath, like an oath is an individual thing, and a pact makes it like a pact that a group of people took.
Really?
Yeah, we could make a pact,
yeah,
but we can't make an oath.
Why?
Because an oath is something that is personal.
We could make a vow, we could make a promise, we could make an oath, we can't make
an oath. An oath is a personal thing that an individual makes. So 10 people making an oath together is not right. So like 10 people making an oath together, it becomes an oath pact. There's the nargs running through the woods. Let's go.
Thank you for the gifted memberships. Let's go.
10 people making an oath is a pact because it's together, right?
It's like 2 wrongs make a right.
No, but 10 oaths make a pact. But I don't think that a group of people can make I think an oath has to be individual.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Oath pact is the new chai tea. Yes, exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was funny. I agree. We will probably maybe talk about the Prelude again in the full book recap.
Probably.
The prologue, to kill.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, someone gets killed.
Lots of people get killed.
That's true actually. So yeah, this is 4,500 years later. Szeth's son
Valanon.
That's yeah.
I find his name to be hilarious.
Incredible.
And I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But Szeth's son Valanon, Truthless of the Shin, God, that cracked me up. And I was like, I really hope we don't full name him every time. And we don't.
Thank God.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
He is a Truthless, which means that he... Don't know yet. But it means that he's not allowed to kill himself.
Yeah.
But he's a slave.
He is a slave to whoever holds a pretty rock.
Yeah. If you hold the
pretty rock.
If you have the polished marble, this shard bearer, the most powerful man on earth, will do whatever you say.
If you have the talking stick.
Because of a marble. Don't fucking lose the marble. I was saying to Clarice, I was like, oh my god, can you imagine if like there's like some noble guy. Thank you for the super chat, Judah.
Thank you.
Can you imagine like if someone had the marble and like their toddler picked it up and just was being a fucking toddler and was like, kill my mom. You know what I mean? Just something crazy. Because toddlers say weird shit. And Szeth was like, I mean, I gotta listen to the toddler. He's got the pretty rock.
He's got my rock.
I don't know what to do. And so like the fucking suddenly this toddler has the most dangerous assassin on earth simply because her parents were like careless with a very tiny stone.
I don't know how tiny it is, but yeah, it seems flawed.
Judah Kanzaris, that super chat was wet hairless cat Szeth. I love my trauma boy. Yeah, fair. So Szeth is from Shin, which is Asia, probably, and he's a ninja.
In white.
Yes, he's literally not Snake Eyes, the other one. What the fuck is Snake Eyes' villain's name?
Oh god, that movie was so bad.
Oh my god, no. What is that fucking ninja's name?
G.I. Joe.
No. G.I. Joe isn't a person.
I don't remember.
Storm Shadow, thank you so
okay.
much. Jesus Christ, that was gonna drive me crazy.
That movie was bad.
G.I. Joe is an organization.
Sure. If you say so.
Like, G.I. Joe is like the world organization that comes together, and there's always like a member from different countries.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and sometimes there is a member named Joe, but that's always bad, and there should never be a Joe.
Yeah, don't do that.
They're all Joes. There shouldn't be a Joe. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
I care about this too much because it was from when I was 4.
And you drop a hit single. It's just too little too late.
Oh, I thought you were talking about JoJo Siwa, and I was like, are you making fun of that girl too? Because everyone is making fun of that girl right now.
No, I don't know who that is. I mean JoJo from
You don't know
like
who JoJo Siwa is?
5. No. Should
The entire internet is piling on her right now.
Why? What'd she do?
She said that she wanted to make gay pop a new genre, and Tegan and Sarah were like, the fuck?
Oh, you want to be
we
Lady
did that
Gaga?
a decade ago.
All right.
Anyway, so Szeth is shard bearer.
Yes.
And he is under orders of the Parshendi, who are not black people because they have some red in their skin.
Yeah.
But they are a race of people who are more docile than normal people, which is, we'll get into it later. And he is there to kill King Galavar. And
which I was like, Gallivant.
I went to the exact same place. Gallivant fucking rocks. Go watch Gallivant.
It's a great show.
It's 2 seasons. All of it's amazing. Timothy Amundsen is so good as the king in that. And he is just like sneaking through. We learn a lot about shard blades, which are capable of cutting stone and cutting wood, but they don't cut humans. Instead, they cleave souls from humans as they pass through the spinal cord, which means they are lightsabers in fantasy. Everybody wants light. Here are 2 facts about life. Fantasy authors want lightsabers in fantasy, and sci-fi authors want swords to make sense in sci-fi.
Is that a Halo joke?
No. This is just a fact of life. All sci-fi authors try to make swords work in sci-fi, even though they have laser rifles and guns. But we always have to have, like, electrified sword, or vibroblades, or lightsabers, or every sci-fi...
Swords are cool. I don't know what to tell you.
Every sci-fi author wants swords, and every fantasy author wants lightsabers, and there's just, like, nothing you can do about it. But these lightsabers are really cool.
Yeah, you can, like, summon them. They just, like, appear after 10 seconds.
All shard bearers are Hexblade warlocks.
All right, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
And so Szeth is just fighting his way through. I'm not going to go beat by beat because it's mostly just combat. It's really cool.
It's a
go read it.
sick combat scene.
It reminded me of the descriptions of combat from Mistborn, where I really understood what was going on. Yep. And I think that this is one of the ways in which Brandon Sanderson shines above other authors.
Yes.
Is that he is able to describe combat in a cinematic way that allows it to feel very visceral.
Yeah.
And the combat in the scene is wonderful.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. Loved it. He's also a surge binder, which I like. That's the magic. That is the magic that I don't really know how it works yet. You use the power of the storms.
So basically,
to do things.
He breathes in stormlight, which is trapped in gemstones.
Yeah.
When it storms, and when he breathes that in, he can use it to warp gravity of the things that he touches.
Yeah. So
that he can fly around and do cool shit like stand on walls
or make other people fly
stand
around.
On the ceiling, or make other people bounce around.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be really exciting to see the set piece that Christopher Nolan builds to make this work in live action. As he tries to do this all practically.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane. I feel really bad for the stunt people involved. That's going to be a painful shoot.
Yeah. Best of luck.
And so, yeah, he's a surge binder, and it's basically the opposite of the breaths from Warbreaker, where those are like you get one breath and then it's permanent, and you can use it and get it back. Whereas this is like you breathe in stormlight, and it is on a ticking clock where you lose it naturally.
And I see what
you can use it for magic as well on things that you touch. You can see how one of the things that's starting to make sense about the Cosmere is that all of the magic systems share certain things in common, which allows for them to all come from different shards, right?
Yeah.
The shards aren't totally separate things. They're in relationship or in concert with each other.
Yeah.
In a way that allows for like the larger magic system of the Cosmere to interact later on, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And so we were set up sort of like the opposite of Warbreaker here, and it's interesting. It is, like Warbreaker, a prologue about a guy breaking into a place to kill somebody
with a fancy sword.
Yeah.
Very interesting parallels.
Very interesting parallels. I do kind of feel like, other than Mistborn feels separate.
It
All
does.
of the other Brandon Sanderson books, Elantris and Warbreaker and now this, they feel like Brandon Sanderson trying to get to this book by writing the same thing. And so I think that I wouldn't notice it as much if we hadn't just read Elantris and Warbreaker, but we're going to talk about a lot of parallels between those two books and this, and I think that this book is doing those things better.
Yeah.
It does feel like the iterative later version, but it does also kind of feel like the same stuff.
Yeah, it's because it's so fresh in our brain. We literally just covered them that, like, we really, like, those kind of parallels are very glaring. Which is fine. I think that authors using similar, like, not tropes, that's the wrong word, but like moments and like improving on them is actually a great thing. Because this was awesome. Yeah.
And so we get this moment where Szeth is getting close and he sees the king being ushered away and running. At the same time, a man in full red plate comes out to fight him. And the full red plate is shard plate.
Hell yeah.
It is magic plate from...
Is it red? I thought it was blue.
Isn't Gavilar's red? No, blue isn't blue the one that shows up on the field in chapter 1? I thought Gavilar was in red.
I don't remember. The reason that I thought it might have been blue is because I remember thinking about Brienne of Tarth's armor.
All right, I might be wrong. I thought it was red. So yeah, we've got...
I cannot remember.
James Ross says we've got power armor. Yeah, and we get an interesting interaction, but this fight is really cool. Gavilar blue, red in field. Okay, I had them flipped in my head.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, I guess, across chapters.
Sure.
And so we get this really interesting fight where Szeth acknowledges that, like, he, as a shardbearer, he could also find shard plate and use it, but he does not want that because it stops him from being able to surge bind.
Yeah.
And so I do like that, we set up these kind of crazy powers and these power suits that kind of are so powerful that they kind of become a ridiculous a power scaling.
Well, there are weaknesses, obviously, like we see them.
Well, no,
like,
but that's what I mean. Like, it's like it sets up first that like how the fuck would you even fight these things?
Yeah.
And then part 2 is, but there are limitations to what they can do, and like someone who is a surge binder might be able to fight someone who is a shard bearer. It's not just that there are 10 people who can only fight each other, and then everybody else.
Yes.
There are magical abilities in this world that allow other people to interact with the shard bearers on a combat level. So it doesn't just become there are 10 combatants that matter, and everybody else is just fighting wars for no reason.
Yeah, that would just be like, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, we're straying into anime territory, and it's
not straying. This is an anime.
I just mean with the power creep, I find it seems to be very prevalent in at least a lot of the anime that I've watched and heard about. But like this is very much like the limitations are just as important as the things that it can achieve.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
They balance
I
each other.
hope they never try and make this live action. You would have to cut so much at the beginning of this book.
Yeah.
It would be boring as fuck.
It would honestly just like be Kaladin like standing. It would start with Kaladin standing at the honor chasm.
Yeah, that's a good place to start it.
Is it raining? Sorry.
Probably.
Doesn't matter.
No, I think that like, yeah, the scale of this and the way that it would work, you would either need to have like the end game budget, or you would have to have it animated because it's crazy. Like it's just too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And like it's like the Game of Thrones comparison that I was making, right? Like Game of Thrones was able to do what it did because season 1 had like 4 locations.
Yes.
Right?
And
it's like the Wall,
was...
Winterfell, and King's Landing.
Yeah, and they didn't have to do crazy magic bullshit, right?
It's not until... And like across the sea with the Dothraki, but that stuff's like a field. Like most of those scenes take place in open fields that are not as hard to find.
They just fucking fucked off to Alberta, you know what I mean?
It isn't until like the later seasons where we get more flashback stuff and we get eras and we get different countries and like they built up to that. This book starts at... like in the first 5 chapters, it's like 4 countries, 7 large cities, multiple large battles right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And if they want this, I feel like with the length of this, it would have to be a TV show. And getting a production company to buy in
for this,
on how expensive the beginning of that would be.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a hard sell right now when production companies do not want to spend money on fucking anything, right?
Yeah.
Like the live action TV industry is going more and more to lower and lower budgets, except for Disney Plus, which is still spent $180 million on Acolyte, which makes no fucking sense.
Stop that.
I really feel like we're in this weird place where like the Cosmere almost might have missed the boat, and because it didn't happen 5-ish years ago when everyone was throwing money at stuff.
Yeah.
I actually don't know that there's a chance for it to happen right now where the industry's at.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't need it to. I have read a like 10th of the story, but sometimes things are just best in the medium of the written word, and that's fine. That is a-okay. I could see an anime being done, but yeah, like you said, with the budget you would need, even still, and the time to animate it all, it's a lot.
Yeah, and people are bringing up that he wants to do Mistborn first, which I think is smart. I think Mistborn is a
much
better
more
adaptation.
Accessible. And the elementic powers aren't as crazy as the big giant swords and gravity and
the
like
plot mostly happens in the dark. So like but for CGI and stuff and for special effects, like there is a literal reason why you can cover special effects with fog.
Yeah.
It's part of the world for it to be missed.
Yes.
And so from a special effects standpoint, like there's so much shit that you can do with the mist to make it cheaper.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of this is like, it's bright day. There's 8,000 people on a battlefield and then a shard bearer shows up and has a super magic sword.
It's a well-lit giant castle.
Yeah.
I hear you for sure. Anyways. Prologue.
Oh, no. So Gavilar is killed. No. So Szeth realizes that the smartest strategy... Judah Canizares, thank you for being a member for 3 months.
Hey.
So the...
Hell yeah.
The question is, what do you guys think of the world itself so far? This is the most alien planet we've been on thus far in the Cosmere, but it's probably my favorite. I don't know that I agree with that.
We're going to talk about that, I think, throughout.
I don't know that this is more alien than Mistborn.
Really? I do, because there's like plants that are named that do things. There are animals that are weird. There are like the weather patterns are strange. The people don't necessarily look like people. Like some of them have like fucking like red marbled veins running through them. Like I think that there is a lot more.
Yeah, and Mistborn had fucking like the not Trollocs, the humans that grow until they pop out of their own skin, and Kandra that can eat your bones and replicate like your body.
Things.
And the entire world is covered in ash that is constantly spewing out of the sky, so everything's just black all the time, with people jumping around in the sky using their like.
I think that the biggest difference, though, between between that and Mistborn is that Mistborn felt like there was those moments where we saw the pictures of like flowers and trees and stuff that was the world as we know it, and so it felt closer to home. Whereas this, like with how the people are and how many different like races and places and animals and like magical effects that are in the world, I definitely felt like this was the most different from like Earth.
All right. Yeah. I think we'll know more about it as we get into it. Because a lot of the things that they brought up, I didn't know what they were. Like, they keep calling it, like, gremlins or whatever they are, and, like, I still don't actually know what that is.
The Spren are obviously very different.
Yeah. Thank you so much for 10 gifted subs, Giambaros. I love that.
Oh,
Appreciate
you
so much green
Holy
in this
shit.
chat.
There's some green in this chat. Let's go. Go watch the...
Look at those nards run through the woods.
I was like, don't watch it right now, but you can now go watch the reaction.
Kremlings.
If you
like,
want.
They keep saying Kremlings.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what a Kremling is. So, like, I was like, oh, sure, a Kremling might be a fox. You know what I mean? Like, I've got no idea.
True.
But yeah, no, there are big crabs. So that's weird.
The chulls.
But, like, we have crabs. You know what I mean? It's not like there's no crabs on Earth.
I guess. Also, the fact that, like, there are very limited horses is very interesting, because fantasy, I feel like, plays fast and loose, but there's just horses everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And in this world, it's like, oh no, you have to be so fucking wealthy to have a horse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting.
Very fun. I love that. Oh, the dogs are different. The, like, hounds with the antenna and shit. Like, you moved it up because, like, the text will show up underneath the...
Whatever.
That's
fine.
It doesn't matter.
So anyway, so Szeth realizes that why would they run Gavilar away from him when they could put Gavilar in a suit of armor and have their king fight him without any help? That turns out to be 100% correct. And so he has just kicked Gavilar through a wall, and then he turns around and he's like, Gavilar? And he's like, yeah.
Well,
the Parshendi sent me to kill you. And he's like, the Parshendi? That makes no sense.
I mean, well, yeah, and it doesn't, which is so weird, because literally hours ago they signed a treaty.
Between the Parshendi.
The thing that gives it away, though,
yes,
like this plan would have worked if Gavilar had like gotten up. Gavilar had gotten up to try and chase him, but that's what, like, I love that it was just like this subtle little thing of like, wait a second, he's just letting me go and run towards the king. I got it. I see what you did there.
And so, much like a video game cutscene, this is a boss that must be fought in stages, where you have to get him from behind multiple times to crack the armor open to get the killing blow. Yes. It felt so much like a Legend of Zelda boss fight.
You
where
have
it's
to
like,
lure him to the balcony.
You must strike the armor 3 times in the same spot to crack it open so that you can do the killing blow so you can get the piece of heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he does. They get to the balcony, and Gavilar, despite his back being exposed because the shard plate has been cracked, and can, I'm assuming, never be fixed. Like, I'm assuming this is like the end of this shard plate as being useful.
I don't know what Stormlight is capable of. Healing and mending.
It seems like it was made thousands of years ago, though, and so I don't know that anyone alive is still able to do this, right? Because I think that all of the shard plate comes from the 10 heralds.
Yeah.
Because I think there's only the 10 suits. Like, I don't think people are making new shard plate. It's like, do you have the relics or not, right? So
few, though. I didn't think that those swords that were put in the stones were the shard.
Kim Carberg says it regrows. So it's like a living piece of armor. That's cool.
Well, because it's fueled by the living energy that is, like, that is Stormblessed. that is the fucking, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we haven't got there yet. So.
Oh, is that a spoiler? I don't really know that that's okay.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, we don't know where it comes from. We don't know its capabilities fully, and so that's why you thought maybe it's broken forever.
Yeah, I don't know. So then while they're on the balcony before death, Gavilar realizes he is lost. He's going to die, and he gives Szeth a little black marble, and he's like, "Take this. They must not get it." And he is like, "My brother Dalinar must have the marble, and he must find the most important words a man can say."
Well, he doesn't say his brother must have it. He says they must not get it, which I'm assuming are the Pershendi, but
I don't think are the Pershendi.
Maybe it's like his people can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Somebody is not allowed to have the marble. But yes, he leaves a message for the brother that says, "Find the most important words a man can say."
Which I think are...
I do?
I love you?
Okay, yeah.
Or
it's Morbin time. That's actually the Shattered Plains. It's the home of Morbius.
You must find the words Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Yeah.
And
don't know what that's gonna be yet.
Szeth, his culture considers a dying wish to be sacred, so he leaves a note for Dalinar written in Gavilar's blood on the ground, and then
when
he leaves.
You don't have a pen and paper.
Yeah.
Look, that's sure to attract attention.
Oh, Blige Monkey's close, but I think the most important words a man can say are actually, "He was with my mom in the Amazon when she was studying spiders before she died."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, so close.
Grease is the word. Elena's right. Grease is the word. It's got groove. It's got feeling. Ba, 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 ba. It's a time. It's a place. It's emotion. Grease is the way we are feeling.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a good point. Kim Carlberg brings up that writing is feminine. So Dalinar might have found this note and not been able to read it.
Well, I'm sure somebody read it to him.
He's like, "Bring me a woman. Somebody wrote words on the ground. I must have a woman.
I must have a woman." Not like that, but you know what I mean.
Someone bring me a woman to read my brother's blood.
Wow. Well, no. The craziest part about it is that Dalinar would have rationally been able to figure out that Gavilar didn't write that if Gavilar can't write.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that
if writing is not a manly thing.
He might have written like, "Hey, I killed your brother. Just so you know, his final wish was for you to know this."
No, that's what I mean. Like this message, in my head, I was like, oh, it's going to seem like it comes from Gavilar, but there's going to have to be that person who's the intermediary, because if Gavilar can't write and doesn't know letters, then it's clear that the person who killed him wrote that. And so, like, does that then diminish its importance to the brother?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because... they know that it's a Shin assassin in white, right? And so he might know that Shin considered dying wishes to be sacred. So he might, like, know culturally that that's not something a Shin would fuck around with.
Maybe, yeah.
And B, it's not like... it doesn't make sense as a ploy.
Well, I don't know what
like,
the end goal would be. Like, I don't know.
Right, and so I think that, like, if I were to read a message that I couldn't figure out how it was supposed to harm me in any way to find the most words a man can say, I wouldn't, like, look at that and be like, they're definitely misleading me. Because why would they mislead you with such a vague, weird thing to say? It must either mean something to Dalinar, or it will mean something to him later.
Right.
But I just can't imagine that. Yeah, I don't know. It because it's not actionable advice in the like short term.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would be considered like a lie.
Right.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll find out later how that makes sense.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it didn't really make sense. This chapter, as much as I enjoyed it, I think the action is really great in it. This was a setup of more mysteries. that I thought were going to lead into the plot a little bit, but don't really.
Not yet.
Like, we don't need, like, Dalinar is mentioned again in, like, 8 chapters. But there's a lot of mysteries here that I hope I remember this stuff by the time we get to the part of the book where they become relevant again.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, like, 1,000 pages in, and I'm like, oh, fuck, that's something from the prologue, right?
Yeah, that was relevant at one point in my brain. God. This book was made for people who speed read within like 72 hours. You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird because it moves kind of a little slow.
Yeah.
Krenok Shade says prologue is super mysterious and it is on purpose. I get that it's on purpose.
Yeah.
I do get it. I just think that there is something about setting up 2 mysteries in 2 different time periods that are unrelated to each other at the top of the book that felt a little bit like uninviting, right? Like, yeah. I think that, like, setting up very separate mysteries between these 2 things is
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. We'll see if it pays off. Bold move, Cotton.
And it's a lot because we're about to talk about 11 chapters that I think are very well written. I don't have a lot of, like, criticisms of this book. But we're about to talk about 11 chapters that aren't really about anything yet. Like, it is character introduction, and it is, like, concept introduction, and it's, like, getting us to know what Spren are. It's all of that stuff.
Yes. This is literally part 1.
But
it feels like a part 1.
The plot of this book doesn't happen in these 11 chapters.
Yeah.
And so it does feel like they set up some mysteries, and then we're going to, like, hard cut to characters who are not engaged in those mysteries at all, and aren't engaged in any mysteries at all. Like, aren't even engaged in their own lives very much. And it's just kind of like, here's some really interesting stuff, and then let's cut to stuff that is not about that and isn't as interesting, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and that's the tough part about, like, the epic, like, that, and, okay, this is definitely, I think, a detriment to Shallan's plotline. Because we have Kaladin, whose life is fucking miserable, and it's like, wow, this fucking sucks. Then we've set up these, like, the Prelude and the Prologue, which are both these, like, crazy fucking high fantasy shit. And then Shallan just kind of gets the shit under the stick with it, because she's like, I need to go find a teacher so I can steal a thing, which, in and of itself...
Because my rich family that owns slaves is falling apart because my dad misled people.
My dad was an abusive piece of shit, and so we're all fucked up mentally.
Yeah.
Crazy. Which, in and of itself, this is what I mean, in and of itself, is like an interesting story, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But when you put it beside all this other stuff, it's like, doesn't matter to me as much. I want to know about these cool swords, and anyways. We're going to get into it because we're in part 1, Above Silence, starts with chapter 1, Stormblessed, which starts with a new character as well. We've got Sen, who's a little boy who's fighting in a battle, has never done it before, and a squad pulls him in, and they're like, hey, buddy, you're with us.
Yeah.
You're one of us.
We bought you.
We bought you.
But you're not a slave.
No, we just wanted you with us to come and hang out. For funsies. Because
you remind Kaladin of his little brother.
Yeah, sad. Fucking depressing as
Judah,
shit.
thank you for that super chat.
Thank you.
Everything sort of begins to click all at once. For everyone, it's different, but you'll be reading further and all of a sudden you're just like, oh. I get that. I just think that Brandon Sanderson leans on that so hard that when you read his books back to back to back to back, Brandon Sanderson has Brandon Sandersonisms so hardcore that, like, I know that because that's just what he does.
Even if you guys hadn't made jokes about it, we would have picked up on that shit right away.
and like, I think that maybe because Mistborn was the first thing that we read, I didn't notice them as much.
Yeah.
And also, Mistborn still feels different because it feels like it has its own style by trying to be a heist fantasy thing. Whereas, like, these, like, high fantasy things that are kind of focused on nobles, I feel like they're so similar at times that the book doesn't start as slow as it does for me because I'm like, oh, I'm just reading Warbreaker again. A book that I didn't love, right?
Right.
And like, this is just Elantris again. A book that I didn't love.
Yeah.
I like both of them. I think they're both fine.
Yeah,
but
decent.
I don't love those books.
Like
and so to read this and kind of be like, oh, this is like so similar narratively. and it's a slow start, it feels slower than I think that it actually is. Because it's only 11 chapters, it's 200 pages. Like, I don't think it's like a crazy slow start, but it feels a little bit slower to me in this reading environment.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, this is just like another version of Vivenna. And Ciri, and whatever the fuck the girl's name was from Elantris. I still can't remember her name.
It starts with an S as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't remember it, because there's too many fucking S names. But I was like, it would be really funny if we only, like, read stuff for book club, like, while we were streaming. Like, we weren't, like, chat was just sitting there doing their own thing. You know how people, like, do work streams? Like, you work, and we work, and, like, we're not interacting, but it's just us reading. And suddenly we're like, oh! Like, just to get that moment, like, clipped out.
Ernest Hill says, thank you guys for chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
The prologue has more than 2 mysteries. I know you guys are all saying that in the chat.
Okay,
but those don't become relevant until later books.
Plot
lines.
Guys,
like, I fucking know. I don't know how to tell you this. I know.
There is mysterious
I know
plot
there's
line
more mysteries.
1 and mysterious plot line 2 that were separated into 2 chapters. So if we were going to go in and count all the mysteries, we would be here for 17 hours.
I'm not saying that there's things I don't know. I know there's things I don't know. My point is that, like, the prelude and prologue set up different plot lines. And then the book doesn't follow those. Yeah. It goes on and sets up other plot lines.
Yeah.
And because of that, we're 200 pages into this book, and none of these plot lines have gotten to their inciting incident yet. We get to the first inciting incident of this book, arguably, in chapter 11.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Sereni.
And honestly, most of what you could actually call the inciting incidents of this book do not happen on page. They all happen in, like, weird off-page moments that we're about to talk about. Because we're in chapter 1, Stormblessed. Sen Bui has made his way over to the Cosmere. He went through a hole in the ground, like Hoyd, and he is now a young recruit in the Bright Lord Meritus Amaram's army. And he's been pulled into... Jeffrey, think of that. Super chat.
Jeffrey, thank you.
I gave up on Way of Kings for years because the prologue is annoying. Finally pushed through, and I'm enjoying the series. I'm happy to hear that, Jeffrey.
Yeah, that's honestly fair. I get it, but I'm glad that you gave it another shot and that you're enjoying it.
He gets pulled into the squad of Kaladin Stormblessed, an 18-year-old who's real good at this shit for some reason. Kaladin has paid off his previous leader, so that he could come join his squad, the best squad, because he reminds him of his younger brother. And Kaladin is traumatized by something that happened to his younger brother, Tian, who we meet later.
Yeah.
And
well, we actually haven't met him yet, but he's mentioned.
Is he not in that Surgeon's chapter?
No, he's not in it. He's mentioned. Yeah.
And so...
Yeah.
Dalit is the guy standing next to him, and he's like, hey, kid, did you pee yet? And he's like, no. He's like, all right, whip your dick out and pee right here.
Pee while we're all watching.
Because you don't want to pee while we run. That would be weird. And he's like, all right. So he takes a piss, and
he still pees himself anyways, but hey, you know what?
No. He has a little trickle.
Yeah.
We all have a little trickle every now and then. You know what I mean?
No.
You're staring down a murderous horde. You just have a little trickle. It's fine.
No. I actually can't say I've ever peed my pants. Well, that I remember. Obviously, if I was a child.
I have, but it's been... Oh, actually, no. I peed my pants as an adult.
You did?
Yeah, I in a bar fight. I was...
Oh, shit.
No. I was so drunk.
Fair.
This was like when I was like 19.
Did you get punched in the bladder?
I did. I got punched in the stomach. And I pissed myself.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, that is so fair.
I got punched in the stomach by a guy a lot bigger than me. And I pissed myself in that bar. No. Like, he was like wide. This dude was like 320.
Yeah.
And moved like he was like 180. It was not a good fight. Were you in New York? No, this was in Calgary. This was a friend of mine from high school. Started some shit, and it was not great.
Calgary?
Yeah, at Crack Alley.
I guess you were like 18 for like 7 months before you left.
No, this I was home.
Like visiting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This was around Christmas. I was home for Christmas.
Alley.
Crack Alley.
What a spot.
No, I was home for Christmas, and my buddy started a fight behind Crack Alley. And the Crack Alley we call it Crack Alley because you can buy crack there for super cheap. But it's a club.
Back Alley is a club that's like
a club called Back Alley.
Yeah.
No, it was actually their New Year's thing that year.
Oh.
We got into a fight in the back, and no one won. It wasn't a fight that anyone won. Everyone was too drunk to like win.
Yeah.
But I got punched in the stomach so hard that I pissed myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad night. It was a bad night all around.
Fair.
Yeah.
If it's back alley.
I went home covered in someone else's puke and my own piss, and it was just...
That's not fun.
Not great. I burned those clothes.
I would too.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't eat it. That's bad juju.
Yeah. Adam. Anyway.
Called out. Yeah, fuck you, Adam. You know who you are.
God, I love the anger that comes from people on steroids. We had more than a few bar fights in our time as friends because of his roid rage.
Oh wow.
So Dalit is then basically building up Kaladin as the greatest thing since sliced bread, which is the greatest thing since Betty White, but Betty White is older than sliced bread. And
yeah, people never sliced their bread. Yeah. Ever. They just ate the loaf whole.
No, pre-sliced at the store.
I know.
Do you?
I know.
I don't think that you do.
I thought I was being funny.
You're not. You get one a week, and you were very funny the other day, so.
That's true. You did start wheezing.
I did.
I'll take it. Don't remember what I said, but I'll take it.
And so apparently Kaladin has some really cool banging signals that he can send to his squad.
Yeah, he actually runs his shit as opposed to just running.
He's very invested in the livelihood of his squad. And so basically this battle starts and he's just run as fast as you can when the battle starts. Break formation immediately.
Yeah.
And don't pull your shield out because what we're going to do is we're going to get ahead of where the arrows are going to be, the volley is going to land.
Yeah.
Which works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good strat. I get it.
Yeah, it definitely fucks up the line.
I mean, the line was already gonna be fucked up, so they're like, fuck it.
Yeah, because they basically Kaladin wants his squad to be really good because he wants to go to the Shattered Plains and fight in the actual war.
Yeah.
But in order to get pulled up to that level, you have to be really good in this local skirmish between minor lords that does not matter. And so Kaladin kicks ass.
Kaladin kills an enemy general.
Well, but first he is running around his squad killing people. He's doing all the damn work. Sen at one point finds himself with a fucking spear in his leg and 6 guys staring down at him.
Yeah.
And Kaladin shows up and single-handedly fights off all 6 of them. He has a sheath of knives on his spear, and so he's whipping knives out of his spear while he's stabbing with his spear. It's cool as shit. Again, very well written combat stuff. Then one of the enemy Bright Lords appears, and this is where we start to get into
the Bright Eyes
the
stuff?
Light Eyes.
Yeah, Light Eyes.
And so the racism in this world is wild.
It's based on you are born and somebody is yeah, your eyes are light, or no, your eyes are dark.
And so here's the thing, lighter eyes is technically a
detriment.
What?
You can't go out in the sun without sunglasses. It's wild.
I can. I just would rather not. I am a light eyes.
Weak eyes, more power.
Yeah. And so, but lighter eyes is it a recessive trait? Is it dominant and recessive? It starts with an R.
Well, okay, that is what we learned in biology.
And darker eyes are dominant. Is a dominant trait. And so over time we will eventually lose lighter and lighter eyes.
Yes, but it is okay. Yes, when I was in biology,
assuming
learned.
that Earth biology makes any sense in this world.
I think that it maybe doesn't. Because otherwise.
Is it recessive?
Yeah, dominant and recessive genes.
I think that's true, right?
Yeah, but that's also kind of been a sort of in our world. It's it kind of works.
Oh, is that not true?
It is kind of. From what I understand, because it's what we learned in biology, but now there's been stuff that's this is actually way more complicated, so I don't know. Not a biologist, don't understand genetics. I do YouTube.
All I know is that I did really well on my biology 20 or biology 30 diploma exam.
Yeah, I did okay in biology. Yeah. Fucking failed chemistry and physics, but biology was okay.
And so Kaladin's let's go kill that motherfucker. And so he does.
Yeah.
And then
stabs him in the eye.
And then a shard bearer appears.
Uh-huh.
And then Senbui gets knocked out, and we don't know what happens after that.
Yeah. Probably murders everybody, because then Kaladin wakes up a slave. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think happened in the 8 months that made Kaladin a slave? Because it isn't in the book what happened.
I am assuming that...
So I'm asking you for a prediction.
Yeah, so what I think happened is that Kaladin's side lost because of this Shardbearer, and the Shardbearer was basically there and saw Kaladin kill a Light Eyes, which is like really, really bad if you are a Dark Eyes, and that's why he was made a slave. That's why he was sold into slavery.
Yeah.
Because he says he's there for killing someone. He's for killing a Light Eyes, which is we see happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then they pretend that he is there as a slave because he deserted, which isn't true. But if someone knew that he killed a Light Eyes, no one would buy him as a slave.
God, I would love to read a book on book club that doesn't have slavery in it. I guess we did with Aragon.
That's true.
Aragon was our opportunity to not have to talk about slavery.
Yeah, the Urgos were like manipulated. They weren't slaves per se. So I think that Aragon is the only one.
Oh, I guess even that had like forms of slavery with the magic system, but like that, that was only on the bad guy side at least. But yeah, no, we catch up with Kaladin 8 months later. He is now a slave in carriage.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I read the book. I started reading first, and I was like, "Here we go again!
Here we go again!
Buckle up, kids!"
This is the Nerdy Wordy Book Club, where we read about slavery a lot and complain about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of slavery in high fantasy.
There's a lot of slavery in Brandon Sanderson's books.
Yeah,
it is a well that he goes to too much for how little he has to say about it, in my opinion.
Well, it also might be just the order that we've read stuff in. There might be a bunch of other stuff that he's written that doesn't. It's just...
I would love that. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's just, it is so... I think that partially after the end of Warbreaker, and this is going to be not a slight spoiler. This is, because we just talked about Warbreaker and it is related, I want to like talk about this.
Yeah, there will be spoilers for the books that we previously read that are Brandy Sandy.
Warbreaker ends with the like oppressed class rising up, and that is viewed only as a negative. And there is no, we don't get any sort of discussion in that book about the God Emperor being like, oh, maybe I should make the world better for those people. That never happens, right? Like, the slavery is just... And the oppression and, like, the like, lesser classes of people that Brandon Sanderson writes about, other than the ska, we don't really get into them very much. It is just ornamentation for the world.
Yeah.
That, it's a very repetitive thing.
Yeah. It's ever present. Which is why I was like, all right, here we go again. But...
Yeah.
It is what it is. One day we will read a high fantasy book on this podcast that does not have slavery, but it will not be this day. Oh, we can't be monetized. Classic.
That's fine. It's
so
for trailer action.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so yeah, Kaladin is like not having a good time because he's a slave. Someone is like, "Oh, help me escape," and Kaladin's like, "Nah, I tried that like fucking 10 different times. Doesn't work."
Mm-hmm.
And then the other guy is like, "So what's your story?" And he just doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
So Kaladin's got some poison that he's thinking about using on the slaver. And then a Windspren appears.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
That is definitely not a Windspren, right?
Definitely not a Windspren because, like, she's very clearly different. She has memories... She retains impressions of things and like a cognitive understanding. And the way that Kaladin explains how the Spren work, even the larger ones have very, very limited sentience. Mm-hmm. So she's got to be like a fucking like, I don't know, like protagonist Spren, I guess. Like she shows up in the protagonist's vicinity.
No, it's gonna be like a loyalty Spren or honor Spren or what like one of those synonyms.
Surgeon Spren.
Surgeon Spren. No, it's got to be something about like courage Spren, bravery Spren. It's gonna be something in the like realm of toxic masculinity Spren. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's definitely different. Okay.
Yeah.
That we know. We don't know how the fuck. Spren are like these little creatures that show up.
Oh my god, you're my protagonist, Spren.
I am your Navi.
You are my Navi.
Hey! Listen.
Except instead of going, hey, listen, you just
Babe?
are in a different room. No, you don't even say babe. You just start talking in another room. And you'll like say a monologue, and then you'll come downstairs and realize that not only did I not hear you, I have headphones in, and there's no way I would have heard you. And you're like, babe, I was talking to you. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Like, how was I supposed to know that you started talking to me from a different floor of our house?
Valid.
You do it all the time. I like start to catch on, like, are you talking right now? You're like, yeah, I've been talking for a while. I'm like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Give me a hey, listen. Johnny Coleman, thank you for that super chat.
That's the babe. Johnny Coleman, thank you so much.
I am not like other spread.
God damn it.
I'm not like the other spread. I'm a cool spread.
What do feminism spread look like?
Oh my god, they're just the worst. They all have blue hair. None of them have... There's not a pronoun among them.
Not one. That is how pronouns work. You just get rid of them and they're gone. They don't exist. Suddenly, you can't communicate.
My favorite. My favorite is always like the people who are like, there's no pronouns in the Bible. And it's like, there's so many.
I'll circle them for you because clearly reading comprehension is not your strong suit.
I'm pretty sure he is used to refer to God in like the opening paragraph.
Literally. Yeah, it literally is.
There's no programs in the Constitution.
Programs.
And it's like pronouns. And it's like, we, the people.
What? Crazy.
Oh, it's very funny.
Oh my god. We don't really know much about Syl.
She's a pick-me spread. That's so funny.
That's good.
Thank you. Yeah. That was very funny.
That's good. Yeah, she's just hanging out. They chat a little bit. And Kaladin is like, hey, this sick guy, this slave, he'll live if you just give him a bit of extra water. But they kill him anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that
because he's got the grindings.
Yeah, and then he loses his poison. Very sad.
We all know that you got to kill people on Grindr. I mean, sorry, who have the grindings.
You got what? No, people on Grindr are thirsty, is what you mean.
People on Grindr are very thirsty. Yeah. They do need an extra ladle of water because they're not eating because they're bottoming later. Bogdan Danbog, thank you for that membership. 9 months.
Welcome back to the
I think of Spren as the wood spirits and Princess Mononoke, little butt. The spirits that all have like fucking cracks in some shots, and it's so funny.
Oh yeah.
Just they don't usually, but in a couple of shots are like, in this shot we're gonna make sure you know these spirits have butts, and you're like, that's okay.
Because why not?
So so we meet Tlakliv.
Bless you.
Who is the slave trader here, and Kaladin has a sort of weird relationship with him where he's like, kind of like that guy. Like, he's an asshole, but he's, like, the kind of asshole that you like. And you're like...
Because he just murdered somebody, so I thought that was, like, later.
It might not be in the chapter.
Yeah.
His time with Tlak, you know, it's all mushy in my head. But, he's, like, he's an asshole. But, yeah, he's kind of charming. And I'm like, he owns you. That's...
Yeah, that was wild. Definitely later on. Chapter 3, City of Bells.
Lige Monkey says he's not eating because he's bottoming later. Do you guys not know how bottoming works?
No, but if you're not,
oh my god, if
doing
you're
anal,
if
why
you're
would
bottoming
you know?
later, like we joke about it. It's like bottom brunch, right? Like you gotta
but if you're not,
you go out to brunch, you have a mimosa and a glass of water. Maybe you have like a cracker, and you gotta keep shit clean.
Oh my god. You just assume that everybody knows.
It's Pride Month. Get it together, chat.
Now,
it is Pride Month.
Now you know. Now you fucking know.
Okay.
You're not homophobic anymore.
Sedai, bitches.
Yeah, I love it. City of Bells is we meet Shallan finally.
Yeah.
She's on a boat.
Yeah.
And it's going fast, and I got an nautical theme, Pashmina Afghan. So she's looking for Yasna and gonna just be like heading up to the palace to go be like, I'm your ward now, because she sent a letter and Yasna was like, yeah, okay, meet me here, and then she wasn't there, and so find out that actually Shallan has been chasing her around for 6 fucking months.
I don't think she's been chasing her for 6 months.
Yeah,
I think that she has been on the sea for 6 months.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's been 6 months since Dumadari.
Since Dumadari? Yeah, that's... she's been at sea for 6 months.
Yeah, I know, but I think that part of that 6 months was getting to Dumadari, and then she's been chasing it since then.
Yeah, but that could be 2 days or 2 weeks. Like, I don't fucking know.
No idea. But we meet like the captain of the Wind's Pleasure, which campaign 3 gave me a little chuckle. Don't worry about it.
It's also called the City of Bells.
Bells Hells. This is actually where Matt Mercer got all of campaign 3 from.
Makes sense.
And so basically we learn that Shallan's family is in trouble because her dad died, and that
people don't know yet. And
the marble that her family has been pulling off of their land has dried up at the same time mysteriously. And so they don't have any money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And
because their father's not there to replenish the
a lot of debtors.
Marble.
And so Shallan is basically here to meet Jasna to become her ward.
Yeah.
To make life better for her family.
Yeah.
Is what we think at this point.
Yes.
And Shallan. So I want to talk about something here.
Okay.
Warbreaker starts with a dude with magic powers breaking into a place to kill a guy. Are you leaving me in the middle of my story?
I thought that was for chat. Because we talked about it.
You don't have to
listen
to
to
me.
I was like, this is a good time.
Fucking ignoring my smart thoughts. Warbreaker starts with a dude breaking into a prison with a super special sword to kill a guy, right? So that we can introduce the magic system. Then Elantris starts with us meeting Raoden on the day that he is a beloved lordling, princeling kind of character who then goes through something, and then in chapter 2 is like in Elantris because he has gone shouted. And then the next thing is that we meet a noble lady who arrives to a city by boat where she is trying to like get connected to another royal person because her family has some like troubles that they need help with. And this was where this chapter and her arriving by boat here was like where I was like, I've read this before. Like this, we're doing Elantris again. It felt odd to me. It's not. I'm not saying that it's like the same thing in a way that feels unoriginal, but Mistborn also starts with Kelsier breaking into Noble's Manor to kill a guy, 100%. And then like Mistborn also starts with like us Vins as a slave. There is something about Brandon Sanderson's storytelling that feels repetitive. You know what I mean? They feel repetitive a little bit. And I'm excited to get to some Brandon Sanderson stuff. I'm hoping that this book will have it where I feel like we're getting something new from him instead of an iteration on stuff he's done in other books. Mm-hmm. Which is a little bit what the beginning of this actually feels like. Yeah. And so, for me, and I'm not going to lie, I feel like Shallan as a character is not that different from Vivenna, Ciri, or whatever her name is. I know I've said already in the podcast. Serenity. I don't want to get into Serenity.
Yeah.
Right. He is like really obsessed with certain kinds of characters, and he's less obsessed with them in Mistborn. And so I think the characters in Mistborn are just more interesting. Whereas like I don't know that I find these like noble ladies that he's writing who are like witty but also like concerned about the propriety of these very weird like guidelines of their societies.
Yeah.
I don't know that I find them very interesting. And I think that that's kind of the problem. Like I
don't find her particularly interesting yet. And
like someone on the Patreon, I think it was M. Will maybe, was like, well, Nerdy just doesn't like women. And it's not that, because like I love the lead character of Emperor Soul. I think Jasna is a great character.
Yes.
I think this like bubble of women that is like Serenity, Ciri, Vivenna, and Shallan. I don't find this character that Brandon Sanderson keeps writing very interesting.
Yeah.
And granted, we only have 4 chapters with Shallan right now, right? So it's not...
Yeah, we've barely met her in terms of the story.
I don't hate her. I don't dislike her. I just I'm very, like, right down the middle on her right now. She hasn't moved the needle for me in any direction.
Yeah.
And I think that... I don't know that... I wanted to bring this up because I don't know that I would feel this way if we hadn't just read those other books, right? If we weren't coming off of kind of reading this same kind of character in a book that kind of didn't go anywhere with their personalities. But this is a character that I'm like, this is a character where I'm like, I've seen him do this like 4 times now.
Yeah.
And I don't think Sereni, Ciri, or Vivenna's plot lines went anywhere that I found really profound with them.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that
I
this
agree.
is the difference. I'm hoping that in him being iterative and kind of having these repetitive characters that show up over and over again, I'm hoping that this is the one where he takes his character somewhere with her that I find more interesting than the last 3 that kind of have the same template.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We're 4 chapters in with her. Definitely. I think that the potential is there, especially because she's paired with Jasna, who is like a really cool character.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna be. We'll see. I am hopeful. Arzu, thank you for that super chat. This is the final book of what I think of as Cosmere Phase 1. The final, can be a starter book.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Right. Everything else, like, after this point is going to be, like, you kind of have to have some prerequisite stuff. You know? Mm-hmm. Judah, thank you for that super chat as well. Let Shallan cook. She's not what you expect.
I hope so,
Excited
right?
For that.
That's what I mean by, like, she hasn't moved the needle. It's not a criticism, because we have 4 chapters with her, right? Like, to criticize the character at this point would be silly. We've read 200 pages, but only, like...
It's like watching a trailer and being like, shit! You know what I mean?
Well, but that's what so many people do.
I know.
They're like, the Acolyte will be bad because I didn't like that there were women in the trailer. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Watch the show. Criticize the show.
Yeah.
I will criticize a trailer for, like, not selling the show well, right? But I'll never criticize a trailer for telling me the show is going to be bad, because that just doesn't make any fucking sense.
I know.
Especially, like, modern trailers where, like, half the VFX is, like, 70% done. Yeah. And they're like, the VFX looks bad. And it's like, yeah, of course it does. The movie comes out in 6 months.
They're still working on
Sometimes the movie comes out in a year. It's like, I'll watch the real thing to judge that.
Yeah.
I judge a trailer based on, does it make me excited for the thing or not? That's all the trailers show. Yeah, anyway.
This is the trailer for Shallan. Part 1 is the trailer for Shallan.
Well, I hope not. I hope that her plotline goes somewhere.
Oh, I mean part 1, like this. We're at the end of part 1.
The problem with Shallan for me right now is that she has to fail and decide that her goal is dumb and not do it. Because if she goes through on trying what her goal is, let's wait. Let's talk about it when we get to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So,
yeah.
Ernest Hill, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you so much.
Shallan is a character I don't really like, but her story is fascinating. That's interesting.
I'm
excited to find out why.
Yeah.
I also love people. I'm gonna criticize chat here for a second. I love some of you who are like, well, you have to let Brandon cook, and I'm like, I can't do that. We're talking about what we've read. Like, I can't. I'm not going to sit here for a book club. That's what
we're gonna do.
And be like, I don't want to say anything about Shallan because we haven't gotten there yet. What would this show be? Like, literally, what would this show be if we did 7 weeks of sitting here being like, Kaladin did stuff, but we're not going to comment on it until we get to the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we get to the end of book 1, it's like, well, we can't really comment on it until we get to the end of book 4. We have to talk. Like, the show is us talking about what we read, guys.
You wanted the show to be 3 hours, okay? This is your fault. No, I agree with you.
Won't this be more interesting if next week I'm like, I have opinions on Shallan now, and you know that I didn't before because I said that I didn't.
We don't have opinions. We don't ever have opinions.
Chapter 4, Kaladin, still in that caravan. They're on their way. I'm
on my way.
They're just kind of chilling. And yeah, this takes the traveling in the caravan takes a long time, in my opinion. It's the only part of Kaladin's story that if I have one criticism of the Kaladin stuff, I think the traveling in the caravan stuff goes on a little bit long.
Yeah, we kind of learn about the like high storms. That's what they're called.
It's sort of like a D&D campaign where you're like, we don't need to roleplay every day of getting to the next city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we find out that Tvlakov is lost, and he's like, I don't know where the fuck we are.
Yep, so Kaladin rips up his map.
Well, no, but he's like, I've been here before. Give me the map. I'll direct you for an extra bowl of water or some shit. And instead, so Tvlakov hands over the map, and then he immediately starts ripping it up.
Yeah.
And then I love Tvlakov because he's like, it was a bad map anyway.
Yeah.
He's like not that mad about it. He's like,
not phased. Yeah.
But then he's like, I'll use my memories. And I'm like, but you just said you haven't been here before.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that they make it to the war camp is a fucking miracle. They are in the middle of nowhere, just like trying to figure it out.
Yeah, pretty much. We get a little bit of time with the Windspren, who doesn't have a name yet, but still, and like seeing her differences in any of the other like Spren that we've seen so far. Then we get to the Shattered Plains where the war is, and Kaladin's like, wow, that's fucking ironic because this is where I want it to be, but not in a slave cage.
Yeah, I did find like the realities of the high storms was fascinating here in that, you know, the caravan is built to withstand it.
Poorly, but yes, yeah.
Well, but like it's considering like there is a variety of levels to them. You don't know that it was that poorly. It might have just been a really bad one. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, sure, yeah.
I can't imagine the difficulty of living in a world that has storms like this all the time.
Yeah.
We're heading there with global warming, so we'll be experiencing this soon, but we're not quite there yet. Things will get worse. Anyway, so we find out that
Dirty Wordy Book Club, derived for your weekly dose of nihilism.
Kaladin has 2 brands on his forehead. He has the typical slave brand, and then he also has a separate brand that says Shash.
Dangerous.
Because he's dangerous.
That girl is so dangerous.
Yeah. Thank you, Shin, for 10 gifted membos. What you doing, Shin?
Oh my god, thank you.
What are you doing?
So much.
Look at those nargs running in the
fucking
woods.
Go. Appreciate you, Shin. Thank you.
And so we find out that Kaladin can read.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he's a boy and only women read.
Yeah.
Such a dumb. It's such a dumb fantasy thing.
I know.
Where it's like we have feminine arts and masculine arts, and I'm like, is there a culture in all of humanity where men didn't read? Like by virtue of masculinity? I've never heard of that. I know a lot of people didn't read for most of human history because like we didn't teach people how to read.
Yeah.
But
it being like separated by gender is just it's funny.
Yeah, it's just such a like fantasy. Like I need my world to feel like fantasy, and so I'm gonna set these like arbitrary lines that.
Yeah, that's.
But
the
then
cool
my
thing
main
about
characters will
fantasy
break
is you
them.
can literally do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fun. Yeah. You can read. Yeah. So, the slaves are excited because they think that like they'll at least get decent treatment in the war camp. Chapter 5. Heretic is Shallan is meeting Yasna. She's like, oh shit, Yasna is actually like really hot. I thought she'd be old and ugly.
Oh, we skipped over Kaladin. The reason why the war camp matters is because Kaladin is excited that he might be able to fight again because he'd like to just die on the battlefield with honor, which he feels like he can't get as a slave.
Yeah.
With a spear in his hand.
Go for it.
Johnny Coleman, thank you for that super chat. Gender roles are arbitrary. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah.
No, that is 100% it. Judah, thank you for the super chat. Reading is mostly a Voron and Lethe thing. Sure.
Oh, no, yeah.
But it's like different. Yeah.
100%.
It is
a cultural
still
thing.
arbitrary to this particular culture, and that's why I love Yasna, because she's a heretic.
Elaine says women are still not allowed to go to school in Afghanistan. That's a complicated still, because currently not allowed to go to school in Afghanistan is very different than still as if it was always the case when like 2 years ago they could. That is a much more complicated thing than.
Yeah, but no, I agree with Johnny Coleman. Gender roles are just shit that we make up, and so in a fantasy world that you just make up different shit. Because it's fantasy.
The reason why it's fantasy is not because it's like men don't read and women do. It's that men do numbers and women do letters. That is what is that is the arbitrary line. It isn't that this isn't a culture where there is dominant and like submissive. That's not what it is, which is what our culture is, where there's like a culture that hoards knowledge away. There's like one gender that hoards knowledge away from the other gender so that they can have control over them. That is why it exists in our world. In this culture, in the fantasy version, isn't that men are submissive to women, that women are hoarding knowledge away from the men in order to keep them submissive to them because they want control. Right. That's not what it is. It's that women read and men do numbers. And it is an arbitrary divide that has nothing to do with power. Like, there's not a power imbalance between the two in this. It is literally just for the reason of setting up the fantasy-ness. In the real world, like, people are bringing up that, like, women were, like, stenographers. That was because men were okay with them being in secretary roles, but not in CEO roles. Yeah. That was a power imbalance created to disenfranchise those women so that men held control over them.
Right, yeah.
That is why that exists. This book has not set up a reason culturally why this happens. Yeah. It is just fantasy. This is what we've decided is femme. This is what we've decided is male. And there's no connection to a power imbalance that does that yet. The book might set up what that power imbalance is later, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because, like, we get to the scene with, like, the bookseller and, like, the husband handles the money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? And that side of things. But the wife handles the, like, reading of the books or whatever it is. Which, yeah, it's just such a, like how could you be a bookseller if you weren't married? That'd be rough. You'd have to hire someone to do that shit for you. Yeah,
you pay someone to read the books to you, which is hilarious.
I know.
Which he doesn't.
I've paid someone
he reads
to
those
read
fucking books. He's lying. People are saying that men don't do numbers like you are saying women do, but that's not the scene that we get. The scene that we get in the bookshop later is that
the men do the math.
The man does the number. He does the, like, money exchange.
Yeah.
And the woman does the reading.
Yeah.
That's
what we've been told so far.
That's the only purchasing scene that we have in the entire book is that he does the math and she does the.
Yeah.
And that husband can clearly read in secret. And he's like, I don't want to scare my customers by acknowledging that I read.
Well, because he's not a lefty either. Or, yeah, he's not, yeah. So, he just doesn't want to make her uncomfortable, which is wild. Fucking wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. Casey Hammer says he handles the money, but that's not doing math. What would you call that? Then.
So you can only hand the dollars to him and not...
What exactly would you call negotiating the financials of bookselling if not math?
That is math. It might not be like fucking Sokotoa.
He handles the money, but that's not doing math is a wild thing to say.
You can't have money without math.
Arithmetic isn't math, says Mr. Kite. Wow, Oscar Paula says 10 plus 5 isn't exactly math. What are we saying? Guys, I am really concerned now. 10 plus 5 is 100% math. That is the only thing that it is. There is nothing about it that isn't math. It is just what math is. That is the description of math, you guys.
Math. Guys, we figured
out what are we doing? What is happening?
Our chat is gaslighting us.
That's called accounting. That's math.
That is
Guys,
math.
That is what math is. I hate to break this to you.
That is math.
That is math.
Yeah. Is that first? Thank you for that super chat. Wow.
I feel like the chat is trying to gaslight us in one of the most insane ways I've ever read in my life.
I don't understand that. Okay,
on my way I understand. In the early days of chivalry, C-cup most Trimble couldn't read basics horsed bros. Oh, chivalry. Early days of chivalry.
Yeah.
C-cups, so women with big, like medium-sized titties. And men who tremble,
couldn't.
So gooners couldn't read. Basics horse bros. Oh, basic wit girl. Her fans are called horse bros.
I'm so sorry.
Because she has a long face.
I really appreciate the super chat, but I am not 100% sure what you were trying to say there. Anyways, math is math, just so you guys know. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah.
Fucking chat trying to gaslight us over here. Wild.
Yeah. I don't even know. I'm so lost now. You guys saying that 10 plus 5 isn't math might be the most insane thing chat has said yet.
Yeah.
What if it's a word problem? It's still math. Word problems can be written out as math. Man,
Yeah.
Joseph, thank you for subscribing
thank you
over
for
on
subscribing on
Twitch
Twitch.
for 5 months in a row. Thank you, man.
It's like there's a lot of things that are math,
Yes.
right? Like geometry is math, but it's also
math.
Geometry. Like there's
Angel Demons, thank you for giving us the Prime
the
Gaming.
Prime sub. Thank you.
Angels and Daemons, sorry.
Daemons, yes.
Yeah, Daemon Targaryen back
Distinct difference.
next week in House of the Dragon. Not a spawn, but we will be reacting to it.
I'm very excited.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So math is math, and he's doing math, you guys.
Yeah.
Negotiating prices for things is math.
Is math.
Because you have to. He has to know what the market value of the books is to try and outsell. Anyway, we're gonna get to it later because we're gonna talk about it because it's a cool moment.
Yeah.
You guys are wild.
Okay. So, anyways, we meet Yasna.
Yasna.
And she is hot and mature.
Yeah, and fucking Shallan's like, I thought she would be ugly because she's 30 and not married.
Yeah, I thought she'd be a fucking spinster. But damn.
Damn
them
titties.
Them titties be tittying though.
But she does have a really dope modesty sleeve because the women in this culture cover their left hands.
For some reason. That we don't know yet.
Yeah, this is going to be one where I'm like, that's dumb.
Probably.
It's such a, like...
Probably. But I wonder if it's, like, based on, like... I know in India you have, like... each hand has its own role in your daily life.
Know that.
Yes. I'm not gonna...
I'm not doubting. I'm, like, just saying I don't know.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
From my understanding, you, like... You eat with a specific hand.
Interesting.
Okay. From my understanding, yes, very much so. Okay, thank you. I was like, normally I don't know things, or I'm the one that doesn't know things, and so I was like, maybe I made this shit up.
Oh my god, people are still saying dumb shit about math in chat. Guys, move on. You're so fucking wrong.
We will fight you to the death. We will mud wrestle.
No, I'm just judging people for saying really dumb shit. Johnny Coleman, thank you for that super chat. Sexualizing body parts is always stupid? Yes.
It is always stupid because anyone is going to be attracted to whatever they're just attracted to. Like, some people are going to like fingers, and some people are going to like lips, and some people like thighs.
For me, it's more like I
like chicken thighs.
I get that if you're super rich and you can have people do shit for you, like, you can get away with it. But
that's why they wear a glove if they're poor.
The idea of not being able to do shit with both of my hands would drive me so crazy.
Nightmare.
Like, it would drive me up the fucking wall.
How would I type on my phone?
How would I lift stuff?
I know, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. Like, it's a symbol of being rich that you don't need it. I totally understand that. I am just hyper judgmental of rich people who don't do shit for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as an independent person, I find people who are incapable of, unless, like, obviously, if you have a medical reason why you need help,
sure,
I support you 10,000%.
Yeah.
I am on your side. You know what I mean? Like, that is a different thing. But if you are, like, an able-bodied person who uses wealth to be lazy, I find that to be like I find that to be an off-putting trait of a person I don't want to be around. I like the people who are, I like independence. I like people who are, you know, capable of doing their own shit.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
That is what I find attractive in other people. And so the idea of like a cultural norm where rich women literally need shit done for them because they only have one hand free is like, ugh.
It's incredible.
Jesus Christ.
It is truly incredible. Guillaume, thank you for that super chat. I suppose it is trading versus science, academic math. Men don't seem to do science. I wouldn't call my local baker a mathematician, for instance. What?
Guys.
Science?
Science math is math. It's just math.
Is still also math.
It's just math, guys. I don't know how to tell. It's just math. And also, bakers have to do math.
They do.
Like, that is part of their job,
Yeah.
is literally to do math.
Yeah.
I feel crazy right now. Like, you guys are trying to separate math into separate things, and it's just math. It's doing number shit.
Yeah.
Is math.
Yeah.
It's not more complicated than this. Bakers do math. I hate to fucking break it to you.
They do.
They're not mathematicians because that is a job.
Right.
But they do math.
Yeah. Yeah.
Baking is so much math.
Yeah, it is.
Baking is more math than art.
Oh, yeah, baking you have to account for fucking, like, altitude and humidity and shit. And, like, it is complicated. Arzu, thank you for that super chat. Fans have made a safe hand hub. Is it just pictures of people's left hands?
Probably.
That's insane. Someone also said only hands. Oh, I gauge.
Only hands is pretty good.
Only hands. That's great. That's great. Deadsy, thank you for the super chat. We are not going to keep talking about math.
We have to be done with that.
Stop
Fellow
it.
Night Gaming, thank you for that super chat.
Stop talking about math. Stop with your math bullshit. I hate math. I hate math so much. Please. There's a reason I went to school for musical theater. The moment I didn't have to take math in high school anymore, I stopped fucking taking it because I hated it so goddamn much.
Guys, it's all math. Everything's math. I hate to break it to you, but at the end of the day, it's math. Graphic design, math. All your jobs are math. Our jobs aren't because we're creative, but your jobs are. Eric Wood, music can be turned into math, but music is not inherently math.
Yeah.
Especially singing. Singing is not math. Singing is mostly feeling.
No, but...
You can explain singing with math,
yes.
But the act of singing is not math.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not, calculating numbers while I'm vocalizing.
Blige Monk says, is counting math? Yes.
Yes.
Counting is math.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be complicated to be math. Like, it's not like the simpler it gets, the less mathy it is. That's not how fucking math works. Math is a category of things that are math. Whether it is the simplest math or the most complicated math, it's math all the way down. We need to move on. Y'all are making me lose my fucking mind today. 10 plus 5 isn't math is the craziest comment I've ever gotten on a video.
Someone put this on r/math.
Okay.
Wild. That was a conversation that I hated.
I never want to talk about math ever again in my life.
Yasna's really hot. Yasna's really hot. Let's go back to that.
She's so hot. You guys, she's so hot and mean. I would be in love with her immediately.
Yeah, she's your Lae'zel.
She is my Lae'zel.
So Shallan shows up, and Yasna's like, oh, yes, you may petition to be my ward. And Shallan was like, oh, shit, I thought I already was. Damn it.
Shallan so grossly misunderstood the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is fine. Honestly, like, fair. I think was deliberately vague.
Yeah, maybe. We didn't actually get the letter, so we don't know what she said.
Yeah, true.
We get Shallan's interpretation of it.
And
so Shallan is like, Yasna is like, okay, test time.
But can you do this?
What do you know about history? And she's like, not much. She's like, oh, well, that's disappointing. History's the most important thing in the world, says the historian.
And Shallan was like, what about my art? And Yasna was like, useless.
I don't give a fuck about your drawings.
Fucking useless.
Oh, you're an art major? Get the fuck out of here. I need people who can get a job.
Yeah, wow. Called out. Called out.
So Shallan is very honest. Because Jasmine's like, if you lie, I'm gonna know. And she's like, yeah.
They're never gonna know.
They're never gonna know. No, I know that I have some deficiencies. Because my mom died, and then my stepmom was not a good teacher. And we lived in the middle of nowhere, and so I did not have a tutor. And also, I learned how to draw from a book.
And I can do math.
And I can do basic math.
Judah, thank you for the super chat. Yasna's also super autistic. I love her. That's fun.
Is she?
I feel like I haven't gotten to like hang out with her enough yet, but I can see where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see how you get that read from her. Yeah, and so Yasna's like, well, this was disappointing.
Yeah.
No. Well, actually, no. First, she does some fucking magic bullshit. There's a stone that collapsed in one of the high storms that is like trapping the king's granddaughter in a room with some people, and they're like, it's gonna take us so long to excavate this, blah blah blah. And Yasna's like, hold my beer, and she turns it into smoke, and the stone goes poof,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Jasna could have done a better job here.
Why?
Well, we find out right after this that she couldn't soul cast things into anything.
Uh-huh.
And so she turned it into like a black smoke that was like harmful to people. And everyone expected it to be smoke, which I think is very odd because she could have just turned it into like pebbles.
She said
it would have been easier to clean it up. Oh, no, I understand that. I'm like, if you can turn something into anything, why did you turn it into something harmful that could have like messed up the paintings and like that you needed wet rags for, when it feels like you could have like just cut it into like, it feels like it would have been less energy to soul cast it not into another thing entirely, but like to just make it into pieces of rock.
But then the pieces would fall in and like hurt people.
Well, no, it's in the doorway. So if you make it like turn into a bunch of pebbles or water, just make it into water. Like
just flood them.
I don't think they'd be flooded.
Well, they're in a palace that's got several floors.
Sure, but like you can deal with it felt like smoke was something that it felt like and this is me not understanding the soul casting, right? I'm not saying like I'm sure we're going to understand it later.
Okay.
All we know about soul casting right now is that she can use her wrist or the back of the stones on the back of her hand to turn this into something else.
Yeah.
And a powerful enough soul caster can turn it into literally anything.
Yeah.
And so at first I was like, oh, she turned it into smoke. That's really cool. And then when they're like, she turned it into anything, I was like, it feels like you turned it into like a difficult thing to deal with. Like she basically just made a lot more work for the people who now have to clean all the paintings in that hallway rather than just
they're either cleaning up little stones or cleaning up smoke. I don't really see that smoke would be that.
But the smoke might permanently harm the paintings. Whereas like cleaning up some rocks is like cleaning up some rocks. I don't know. I also just, in my head, and because I don't understand the magic system, in my head, turning a large stone into smaller stones of the same material seems like it would be less energy than transmuting it all the way from stone to smoke.
Well, and we don't know how the energy of it works.
No, we don't.
Like, it may not be
I'm assuming
more
it's Stormblessed,
less. But I don't know.
Sure. I don't know. This is just what this isn't a criticism. I feel like I need to say that all the time because everyone just assumes I'm being negative. I don't know. But I'm saying that, like, I don't understand the system enough to understand why she went with smoke when it seems like there are other things that would have been easier to deal with.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I don't know. I don't know enough yet to know why she chose smoke. Smoke in the reading, smoke made sense while it was happening. And then when they were describing the Soulcaster later, I was like, wait, that doesn't actually make as much sense to me.
Right.
Because I feel like you could turn it into fucking jelly beans. I don't know, like turn it into anything.
Food for everybody.
Yeah.
There's now a feast on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Hopefully we'll
turn
get
it
more
into something
context.
useful instead of attacking everybody with black smoke that ruins paintings.
Yeah.
You know, it just felt like a weird kind of. It also just seems like, and this is because of the way that I think of matter, right? The difference between turning a solid into another solid and turning a solid all the way to a gas, which was skipping over liquid, right? To me is like, that feels like it should be a bigger energy exchange because you're going through two jumps of styles of matter. Whereas if you just do stone to stone, you're staying within physical matter, right?
Okay.
Because to get a solid to a gas, you have to pass through a liquid first.
Do you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Right? Like, gases, the temperature at which a solid becomes a gas, it passes through a liquid state first. And then boils and becomes gas, right?
Really? There's no solids that surpass... I don't know. Guys,
isn't that true?
I failed chemistry. I absolutely failed it. I got 30%.
Okay, sublimation exists. I've forgotten about sublimation. Guys, it has been a long time since I took high school biology. So
dry ice. Interesting.
But isn't dry ice it's
extremely rare.
Turning into a liquid to become gas?
I don't know.
I thought that... Okay, wait.
That happens really fast.
But doesn't dry ice become a gas because you put it in water, and so it passes through a liquid state into a gas state very quickly?
I don't think dry ice has to be in water. I don't think there's anything that says
All right.
it. Like, I remember when I went to, like, space camp, they had, like, they didn't, I don't know.
All right. Anyway, it seems like that would take a lot of energy. Maybe it doesn't. I'm just saying the magic system here was interesting because I didn't understand the...
Yeah. But it's apparently very rare.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, yeah, I guess I can't really think of anything, but...
But Halker says, it's still an energy exchange, so I get his logic. Thank you. Thank you.
You have an ally in chat for once.
I don't know.
Huh. Because, yeah, it could be one of those things where it just goes so quickly. Like, the state of it being a liquid in between could be such a minimum... I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist. But cool. Yeah.
Oh, but smoke isn't a gas. That's fair, too.
Smoke is not a gas?
Yeah.
What do you...
When was it you saw liquid wood last? That's a good point.
Liquid...
That's actually a really good point.
Liquid wood! That's very funny.
I'm assuming it's possible, right? Can you turn wood into a liquid?
It's just paper.
Maybe nothing I'm saying makes sense. Anyway, guys, I have a degree in musical theater. So this is where Shallan is like, I am actually here to steal that soulcaster. Tea is liquid wood. Oh, thank you, Jay. That makes sense.
Tea is liquid wood.
Tea is liquid wood. So Shallan is actually here to steal the soulcaster, the ring set on the back of Yasna's hand.
Yeah.
Because she found out that her dad had one and was using it to find marble that was really just him making marble.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the way that her dad died has something to do with the soulcaster not working anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's broken. And so her plan essentially is to replace the soulcaster on Jasna's hand with the broken one and then get away without her realizing that she did it. Bad plan.
Plan A, become ward. Step 1, become ward. Step 2,
yeah.
Step 3, profit is basically what we've got here.
But also, like, it feels like selling the soulcaster would be such a hardship without Jasna finding out about it.
But they're not trying to sell it. They're trying to use it to make more marble, I thought.
Oh, I thought she wanted to steal it to sell it for money.
No, I think they want to continue the marble expedition.
But wouldn't she need to be trained by somebody in how to use it?
I don't know how it works.
That's fair.
We haven't got there yet.
Haven't got there yet. Anyway, this is where we find out that Shallan, not a great person, but
But also she's
in an impossible situation. It's tough.
She's also a traumatized victim of abuse.
But this gets into a point I didn't make during the video that I want to make. Is that making a character pitiable does not make me like them.
Yeah.
It is really easy to... It is far easier to make me pity a character than it is to make me like a character.
Fair.
I don't like Shallan very much here. Yet, right?
Yeah.
I do understand that she's pitiable. I'm not saying that her life hasn't been hard.
Yeah.
Her life has been hard. She's very pitiable. I don't know that she's much more than that yet to me.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for when she is, right? Like, I think she's very well written. She makes sense. One thing I will say is this book logically flows in a way that I don't have, complaints about the book. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not,
We're
upset with anything.
Figure shit out.
But Shallan, to me, is more pitiable than she is interesting right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that what is the difference between a good author and a fine author, and I think Brandon Sanderson is a very good author, is that characters, they don't expect you to just like pitiable their characters because they're pitiable.
Yeah.
That I got a little bit of that in Unsold, where I was like, I get it. Like, I pity Lyndon. His life is hard. I don't really like him very much.
Right. Yeah.
He's not.
It's a tough line.
Lyndon never really won me over.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we met the girl that I liked someone in that book, really.
Yeah, Vin's life is rough.
But I like her for other reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
The book doesn't try and be like, you have to like this character because look at how hard their life is.
Yeah.
And I think that taking a character beyond that step into that deeper I think Kaladin gets that a lot later in this. But it feels a little bit at chapter 4, they're like, you gotta like this guy. Look at how much his life sucks. And it's not until he starts taking ownership of himself a little bit more in chapter 11 where I was like, okay, I'm actually on board with this person.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle, thank you for the super chat. Music Boy has strong opinions on what math is and if sublimation exists. Look, math,
I did not have a strong opinion on if sublimation exists.
You were like, oh, yeah, right.
I also don't have a strong opinion on what math is. I have a right opinion on what math is.
Math
and you guys are saying some
math.
weird shit. Saying 10 plus 5 isn't math is weird. Because then what is it? Right? Like, if it's not math, then what? We have to move on. I am upset. I didn't have a strong opinion about sublimation. I forgot sublimation existed, and you guys reminded me, and I went, sure.
Yeah. Valid.
If anything, that was the weakest opinion I could have had, because as soon as you guys brought up a counter-argument, I meant, yeah, you're right.
Right. This is a book club where we don't talk about math.
Yeah. Bridge 4.
Bridge 4, guys.
Chapter 6.
Bridge 4 in chat. Let's
Fuck,
go.
we're going to be with this bridge the whole... I'm really worried we're going to be with this bridge the whole book.
The whole book? No. God, no.
I thought we were going to get away from Bridge 4 by the end of Chapter 11.
No, what the fuck could the plot be if we're at Bridge 4 for 1,200 pages?
It could just be him trying to, like, make Bridge 4's life better.
Do you think
this I'm not going to be very pleased with that.
Do you think Bridge 4 was the inspiration for Divergent 4?
I'm pretty sure Divergent's older.
Than Way of Kings?
That's a good question. Which book came out first? Divergent?
So.
No, the 2011 is the book, and then Way of Kings is 2010. No, they would have to be really close.
So close.
Yeah. I don't think Divergent was written in
I know.
6 months, right?
No, I know. Yeah. I have a feeling we're gonna be with Bridge for part 2. And then I think we're going to move on from it. Because I don't know.
Dalinar has to show up at some point. Because he's like the other main character of this book.
Who?
Dalinar, the brother of the king.
Don't know who that is.
He's the brother. He's the Bright Lord of the army.
Oh, the one who got left the note.
Yeah, and he's also the one who... when we get to Bridge 4, he's like, is that the king? And he's like, no, if the king was here, then we'd be in Bright Lord Dalinar's army. Because he's the fucking greatest person ever. I've been told he's never broken his word ever.
But like, he could just be like a interlude character.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry about it. Never mind. We'll get to it.
Rand of Bridge 4, welcome to the nerd
Rand of
table.
Bridge 4, thank you for joining the nerds. That's great.
Well done.
Yeah. So Kaladin, they get to the army. And some woman, the war camp of High Prince Sadeas, name.
Add it to the tally.
And wait, what? Daniel Klauser says Bridge 4 was cannibalized from Sanderson's master's thesis. If the author of Divergent went to BYU, they could have read it and been influenced. Not likely, but it's possible.
No, I doubt it. I was making a joke. It really
his
has
name
nothing.
is. Oh wait, that's actually a huge spoiler for the book. If I tell you why he's named 4.
For a book that is over a decade old. Yeah.
Someone will get mad at me for spoiling Divergent.
Yeah.
One of the dumbest series I've ever read in my life. I'm sorry to the author of Divergent, but like your explanation for the plot in book 4 or 3.
Look, book 1
insane
was
nonsense.
Book 1 was fun.
Yeah, it's just once it gets into the we were trying to
no spoilers. Yeah, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Book 1's fun. It really is. I even enjoyed the first movie. But like the reason why they didn't finish that series of movies, I think honestly, was they sat down to write the script and went, this doesn't make sense, and there's no way to have actors. Book 3, sorry. There's no way to have actors say this stuff on screen and have an audience understand what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's a series that really... And, like, Maze Runner had similar problems where, like, by the time it gets into, like, why they're maze running, you're like, I'm sorry, what the fuck? Like... This was so fun until you were trying to explain it. And then it's always the explanation where you're like, wait a second. YA explanations are always, like, the most insane eugenics shit. And you're like, wait, how did we get here?
Why is it always eugenics? No. God damn it.
No, we had to wipe their memories so they'd be more scared so that we could get the scared pheromone.
Spoilers!
You don't know which one that's for, though, so you don't know which one I spoiled.
That's true, actually. You don't know what series you're referencing.
You don't know what series I just spoiled, but I did just spoil one of because here's the thing. I was reading that series.
Yeah.
And I was enraptured. I was so in. And then I remember like the reading, I think it's like the second book where the reveal happens. And I literally was in the middle of the book and I put it down and went, there's no fucking way. And I read it again and I was like, this is so dumb. This doesn't make sense. It's so dumb. How is it this? It's so dumb. I was like angry because I was having a great time and I loved the characters.
And they ruined it.
And I was like, this doesn't work on any fucking level.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
this
woman buys Kaladin, but
buys a bunch of them.
Tavlakov is like he tries to be like, I killed somebody, which is true.
Yeah.
I think I don't actually understand why he's a slave, but
it's meant to be nebulous, I think, right now.
Oh no, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So then, the Tavlakov is like, no, he's a deserter. He's lying
I could
to
not
you.
in good consciousness sell you as a spear holder. No, bad. Danger.
Even though she would be better off with him holding a spear because the dude's a fucking god with a spear.
Yeah. He's also like, oh yeah, and everyone else in his carriage, you should probably like fuck them over as well because he might have infected them with talks of like deserting and running away. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh yeah, you're probably right.
And so they get sent to the bridge crew. We meet Gaz, who is a scarred, one-eyed asshole with wispy hair. And I immediately thought of fucking the orc from Return of the King.
Gothmog?
Yeah. When he's like, he's got one eye but doesn't wear an eye patch. And he's like, his face is heavily scarred. I was like, oh, it's Gothmog. Gothmog shows up.
Grand. Bridge 4. Bridge 4. No, it doesn't have the same ring to it.
Doesn't work. But yeah, no, I just, I immediately, there's just something about Brady where I was like, I just pictured Kaladin just beating the shit out of the Harvey Weinstein arc. Yeah, the Harvey Weinstein arc.
Yeah, Gothmog.
God, can you imagine being that hated? You thought of Uno. Uno wears an eye patch, so it can't be Uno. Also, Uno is a good dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he finds out that he is going to be in the bridge crew, and they're going right now. No time for anything. And so, shirtless and shoeless, he has to put this wooden bridge on his shoulders, and they start running the bridge. And he gets put at the back, where he can't see, and they just run the bridge, and then they get to a crevasse, and then they push the bridge across, and then they lie down for a minute, and then the army crosses the bridge, then they cross the bridge, and then they pull the bridge.
Yeah.
This is... And I'm glad the book calls out that this doesn't make sense. Because as a form of combat, this doesn't make any sense.
You're like, why are they fighting on these planes anyways?
Like, there's no strategic value here.
Worst spot to, like, fucking fight somebody.
And I think that's gonna ultimately be the plot of this somehow. Like, there's gonna be a reason
Kaladin
why...
is literally like, this doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. This doesn't... It doesn't make a lot of sense. and I'm fine with it not making sense, because it's like... But because I feel like that is what the plot of this is supposed to be, is trying to figure out why they're fighting here.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not, like, upset that it doesn't make sense. I just was like, in terms of an army, in terms of a victory condition for this war, it seems like the resource cost of a battle like this doesn't make sense for either side to benefit in any way.
Yeah. And
so it seems like maybe they're fighting to be petty, but like the resource drain.
It started on revenge, right? Because they're like, oh, the Parshendi killed my brother, so we have to go kill them.
Right, but why would you fight in the middle of fucking nowhere?
That's why I'm like, why are we on this shattered plane?
Yeah.
That seems like a terrible idea.
And maybe maybe there is a mountain range that's impassable on either side, and like this is the only way through, or something like. Maybe there's something going on.
Nukes.
But it just the way that it was described, I was like, the difficulty of getting people to the shattered plane. And the resupply of humans that you would have to have constantly coming in to run these bridges.
To run the fucking bridges, I know.
Especially,
not even the, like, fucking army, just the goddamn bridges.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, but, and the fact that they're running the bridges so poorly.
Oh yeah, Kaladin's like, why don't we have shields? And they're like, shut the fuck up.
Or like, but not even shields. Why don't you have 3 people at the front run basically like a
wall,
a hood of a car.
Yeah.
So that you can get them in place, and then you slide that hood up on top and slide it back so that you're covering the people pushing the bridge forward. It just seems like there would be so many ways. Because here's the thing, wood is so much cheaper than human lives.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And you could build a way to protect the bridge people while they're pushing the bridge into place and pushing the bridge across.
Yeah.
So easily.
Yeah.
And for very little resource cost. That would make you have a easier time. The other problem with the bridges is that once they're in place, so they put the bridges down, they push them across, right? There's a number of issues here, right? First of all, if I was the Parshendi, I would be... There's so many ways to stop the bridges before they get all the way across.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you could weigh the bridges down at the tip while they're being pushed across, and you could basically, like, unbalance them, you could make sure the bridges don't land.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be my first thing to do every time, would to not let the bridges land.
Yeah.
But then second, if you were to run across the bridge, you are essentially creating choke points for your own army to have to push through constantly. And so by using the bridges, you are always at a disadvantage in these fights. Yeah. Because you have to get across a bridge and then fan out. Yeah. And it just seems to me like it doesn't make any sense. The combat doesn't make sense. The value of the combat doesn't really make any sense. Yeah. And it has to be intentional, because otherwise it
feels a little silly, especially
it's
because
rule
the
of
main
cool
character...
in a way that I think will tank the book for me.
Well, it's not even that cool, right? So that's what's
I think it's cool. I think the concept of the bridge running is really cool.
Yes, I just mean... Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. Ernest, thank you for that super chat. White authors in fantasy use slavery for character growth like men use our word for female character growth, and neither address them in a satisfying way. I often forget it as a narrative. I think that...
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, Ernest. I think that... I do think that it is kind of the problem with...
It's a little bit of a crutch in a way that I would just
100%.
love to see removed from stories. Like
I don't want to see it removed. I want to see it matter.
Stories. Sorry, not stories as a whole. But I think that like you don't always need it. There are other ways to do it, and a lot of fantasy has these things, and it's like, well, why? Why don't we try something else? I agree with you wholeheartedly, Ernest. Thank you for that super chat.
I think that part of it also comes from the fact that it is often so I think that slavery arcs, because we get the comments of people being like, well, slavery has always existed. Yeah. And it's like, yes, but slavery hasn't always existed in the same way. And there's a lot of people who write fantasy narrative with slavery that they're like, well, medieval nations had slavery in a lot of ways, but they didn't exist in the same way that American slavery did. And it feels like American slavery tinges those narratives a lot into the visceral, like the way we talk about whippings, and even this book has the well, if you guys don't pull that bridge good enough, we're gonna whip you. And I'm like, I don't think they would. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why would you whip someone into not being able to carry the bridge?
Get the bridge across. Because
you're just making your own life harder.
And if enough people on the bridge drop from whipping strikes, and they get trampled and die, then the bridge fails.
If you whip an entire bridge crew, you basically lose a bridge for a week. Yeah. And so there's things like that where we want to get into the imagery of modern slavery because it is visceral and it makes us pity those characters, but the other side of it is how would that work? You can make it more real for me by acknowledging the risk associated, right? Yeah.
And also, sometimes I read fantasy books because they're not like real life. Yeah. I know slavery has existed for a long time. And
I don't need it to be in... and I'm not even saying that it shouldn't...
to be in everything.
It's in every one of Brandon Sanderson's books.
That we have read so far, yes.
And yeah, Brandon Sanderson does like to write magical slavery, where it's no, the Ska were made by god powers into being better slaves, and the Parshmen are so docile that they make great slaves. Yeah, and it's the
weird.
Race essentialism stuff that I'm oh, God,
Yeah.
stuff, it feels weird to me, especially when it's like magically created for your world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. I think it just, I think if it's gonna be there, like you have to like say something about it. Yeah, but
and not just use it to make me feel bad for characters.
Yes.
That's where I feel like it gets lazy, is when it's like, well, you have to feel bad for them because look, they're slaves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But like the mystery of the book is like, why is he a slave? One of the many things that has not been explained yet.
That is true. That is one of the mysteries that we haven't like gotten revealed yet. Is like why he's there.
Yeah.
And what actually happened, which is like that is intriguing. But yeah, Kaladin is like, these bridges don't make sense. We're like, these bridges don't make sense. There's gotta be something funky going on here. Cause just a lot of people are dying for like kind of no reason.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting, right? Like, I have a feeling like when we get to it, I just hope it doesn't take forever to get to it.
Yeah. This is where we learn Syl's name.
Sylfrana.
Yeah, she's still there. She saves Kaladin by waking him up. Because Kaladin passes the fuck out. Which, fair. Honestly, I get it. She's
Kaladin,
like, they're going to leave without you.
Get some shoes and a shirt with the, like, shoulder paddings off of the guy who was really nice next to him that died. Yeah. Oh, when they get to the front line, he's at the back. And so when they get to the front, they switch. And so the people at the back have to be the front line for
when the arrows...
For when the arrows come. So he gets the shit end of the stick on both ends, where he has to run in the dark, and then he has to,
Yeah, it sucks.
almost get shot.
Yeah, it's rough. Would not want to be Kaladin. Honestly. Chapter 7, Anything Reasonable. We go back to Shallan, who's like really hoping that she can change Yasna's mind.
Yeah, because Yasna said no the first time. I don't even know if we said that, but she was like, no.
Yeah.
You're not smart enough.
Right. After the boulder thing happened. She's like, you're not going to like my answer. And Shallan's like, no. So we get to the like the library. Starts with a P.
Palaname.
Yep, we get to that one. It's a big ass library. She's like, my dad had like what what was it? It was like 700 books, and this has like 700,000.
Yeah.
I think it's hundreds of thousands. I was like, damn. Would not want to be Kaladin, should be assured. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a library where you need to spend like 1,000 fire marks or watermarks.
What? I don't know.
The money system
costly.
is okay. Look, can we talk about the money system for 1 second?
Sure.
Money system is so cool, except that if you dropped your money in this world, getting it back seems like so much money would get lost in this world over time because it's little marbles. They roll.
Oh, I didn't think they were like spherical. I thought they were like droplet shaped.
Oh, I thought they were little spheres.
I don't know, actually. I thought they were like rounded
I was reading
on
the
one side.
system. I was like, oh my god, can you imagine tripping and spilling your money on the ground?
And it's gone
just
forever.
like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They are flat on one side.
They're flat on one side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're like rounded and yeah. They don't,
They still feel like,
if they rolled, oh my god.
Yeah. They go like real hard. They're called spheres, so I think that's why I thought that they were spheres, but.
That is fair.
Yeah.
But also, I'm pretty sure that, like, the king gives a little black marble, which is why maybe that was, like, the
There's
first
a lot of little marbles in this book.
It's a lot of marbles.
Like, Szeth's slavery token is a little polished marble stone. But Szeth also gets a black marble stone from Gavilar, and then the money's all little marbles. It's a lot of little spherical things people gotta handle.
Many rocks. Yeah.
It just seems like a nightmare of a money system to have to deal with.
Yeah. So it's very expensive to get into the library. Mm-hmm. So instead she goes and waits in Yasna's alcove. Instead of like going in and chase after her. So she goes up there and she starts
the servants in this world are very amenable and never ask follow-up questions.
You're not allowed.
Yeah.
You're a servant.
It's not a bad thing. It's just, it's interesting. Like, because I was like, I kept expecting someone to be like, why? I'll go ask her. Because that'd be a normal question. I would like to go to her alcove. Oh, okay, why? And I'll go, ask if that's okay.
They're like, nope.
Everyone is always like, oh, yeah,
yes,
right over here.
Yes, brightness. Whatever you want, brightness.
This is like the most powerful woman in the world, and she has no security.
Maybe, yeah. But she is also in the like a king's palace. It'd be kind of insane. Yeah. No, I hear you. So she starts drawing. She like has photographic memory. She like clicks her eyes shut and she takes a picture, and then she draws it later, and she like adds people to her collection.
Okay, I think that part of the reason why I'm not hotter on this character than I am, I did not love the way she talked about collecting people. Shallan, when she talks about the way she's drawing people and how she's like, I'm gonna add them to my collection, I was like, you sound a little bit like a serial killer. She sounds, look, she's not evil. I'm not saying she's evil, but when she specifically talks about how she's going to draw someone later, Shallan sounds a little bit like a serial killer.
No, that's why I kind of liked it. Is I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That is concerning. Guys, my wife is going to kill me someday.
I'm going to add it to my collection.
Sounds a little bit like a serial killer.
It's like Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah, but Pokemon
Don't think about it.
A thing where children go take wild animals from their homes and make them fight gods. How many times does your Pokemon get poisoned, burnt, paralyzed, frozen in a fucking game?
Yeah.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah.
It is specifically the way she talks about it.
Yeah.
Is a little weird.
No, I was weird, and that's why I found it interesting. That was the first moment where I thought I felt like I had an idea of her as a character, you know?
I just don't, like, it would be like a photographer being like, I need to take your picture so I can add you to my collection.
People do that.
I want to take it, because she says, like, when, it wasn't the collection part. The really creepy line was when she was like, I take a little piece of their soul. And I was like, Jesus Christ, Shallan, what the fuck is wrong with you?
She thinks highly of herself.
Judah Canizares, thank you so much for that super chat.
Thank you, Judah.
Shallan is a gifted Catholic rich girl who has a very troubled home life, Lamau. So yeah, she has the markings of a serial killer.
Fair, honestly, fair.
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah, she's got to keep an eye on her.
And so she meets Kibsal, who is an Ardent, who, this is interesting because Yasna is a heretic who does not believe in
eye supremacy.
God?
She doesn't believe in eye color supremacy.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of gods introduced in this book already, and I cannot really tell them apart yet. I'm excited for the point where I feel like I have a handle on that, because right now I really don't.
I actually don't know who believes Shallan's god is. I know that the Ardents are like the priest type people.
But she keeps talking about like blasphemy and like.
Yeah, but I'm like, to who?
Yes.
Blasphemy to who?
And so they have this conversation where Kabsal is like really into her. He's like, you're a pretty dope lady.
And he's kind of cute. And Shallan's like,
yeah, it's called Vorinism is the religion. So
voyeurism, yes.
No, I think it's Vor. I think they all have a Vor kink where they want to be swallowed by a big snake.
Kink where they just really wanted to watch people fuck.
Yeah, so Shallan writes a letter to Yasna.
Yeah.
And the Ardent is like, let her know that I want to talk to her.
Yeah. We have a fun conversation where he's like, stop respecting me.
He also
fucking disrespect me.
He lacquers her drawing for her.
Yeah, and she's like, oh God. Oh no, actually
flirting?
He did it okay. Is this flirting? This is flirting, yes. That is correct. Sir Jim, welcome back to the nerd table for 14 months.
And then Yasna shows up and is like, get the fuck out of my room. Leave me alone.
Sir Jim, we will get to the epigraphs for sure. That'll be a whole conversation in and of itself.
Yeah.
We'll get there at the end.
Have we seen the next chapter's one? No, we have not read beyond the reading, Sir Jimris. Don't accuse us.
We don't spoil ourselves.
Of sullying our reputation.
How dare you?
But she has a big theory about the epigraphs that we'll get to at the end of this.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. It might have been disproven, but it doesn't matter.
Shallan gets scolded by Jasna, and she goes out into the hallway, and she cries. And Clarus and I have had a long argument in the audiobook about how long Shallan is sad for here. Kids drop their Pokemon off at brothels to breed them. They're not brothels. They drop them off at hotel rooms, because they're both... No, because it's not a brothel, because you're not paying somebody else. You're dropping off both of your Pokemon, and they both are your Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess there's not any, like, Pokemon brothels. Like, the
Yeah.
daycare center doesn't have its own Pokemon, even though they're, like, animated.
It's not like there's, like, Pokemon in the windows in red light, and you're like, I want my Pikachu to fuck that Snorlax. You know what I mean? Like, it's not...
Jigglypuff's there just, like...
It's more like the sex hotels in Japan than it is a brothel.
Yeah. A place where you can go and fuck.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
I love that for
crazy.
Japan.
When we were in Sapporo, the hotel that we were in, it was a nice hotel, like a really nice hotel, but surrounded on all sides by sex hotels. So you literally had to walk through like 3 blocks of sex hotels to get anywhere. It was so funny.
Amazing.
Yeah.
3 blocks. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they're. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been in one.
I do love the description of Shallan drawing. I think that was really beautifully done. And like the moments that she collects. But yeah, so
Oh, the Pied Piper guy says then it's just a motel? No, these are sex hotels where you pay like hourly. You don't like spend the night.
You don't have to stay the night. You just go and you get it done.
Some of them I don't think you even can.
Oh,
like I think they have like hours where they are open.
Right.
And like you pay for like an hour or 2. You don't. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
How many hours am I gonna need today?
Yeah. Love hotels. Yeah, right back.
Yeah.
So then, where are we?
Oh, well, okay, so Yasna, like, yells at Shallan. She's like, what the fuck, I told you to leave.
Fair.
And then Shallan goes and cries for a minute, and then Yasna, like...
Oh, it's just a minute? Oh, it's just a minute? She sat for just a minute?
Did you count?
I was the one who said it was, like, a little less than half an hour, and you were like, that's all she's sad for?
You said that she, like, had only been through a rough half hour, and I was saying that,
her day goes mostly pretty good.
No, she gets fucking rejected.
So what? She gets rejected temporarily.
She gets covered in smoke.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to a person.
Her family might be murdered.
She found the Soulcaster faster than she thought she was going to, and she gets the wardship. Her day's fine. So this girl comes out and is like, Jasna will see you now. And she's like, oh, fuck.
Wait, what? Why? And she's like, oh, I left my money. That's awkward.
Yeah, which, like, girl, how? That's all you have in the world.
Yeah. I know.
Your name doesn't even mean anything here. Like,
she is a rich girl.
God.
Yeah, Yasna is like, hey, I lost my temper. Normally, persistence is like a tribute that I commend, but, it's been a day. So, tell me more about yourself. And Shallan is like, well... Or no, Shallan is like, did you get my letter? And Yasna's like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? And they had stacked their books on top of it. Yeah. So Yasna realizes that Shallan is self-taught.
And is not dumb.
Yeah, she's like, okay, you know what? Circumstances do matter. That is impressive. Yeah. I will let you come back. Go learn some shit and come back and petition me again, and I will see what you have to say. She's like, I've never done that for anybody before, so consider yourself lucky.
Go learn a bunch of history.
Yeah. Specifically
history. And so Shallan is like, great.
Love that for me. So she leaves and...
Oh, and the reason... I want to talk about this. The reason why she gives her this opportunity, and I really loved this, was that she's going through the biology sketches, and she's like, oh, this girl is self-taught simply because she's interested in it.
Yes.
Right?
Because she was like, why do you do this? She's like, because I like it.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, like, she's doing this because she wants, like, the financial stuff and whatever. She wants, like, a life, and she is trying to use me for that. But if someone's going to use me for that, and everyone wants to, if someone's going to, it should be the person who also just enjoys the learning. Yeah. Right? The
love of it makes, like, I feel like makes your life as a teacher easier, right?
Fellnet Gaming, thank you for that super chat, asks, is history math? Go to a high school and ask them if they have a math class and a history class, and if you could take them. And then when you go to them and you realize that they are different things, come back to the book club. Because they are different classes.
Just Google
they're
it.
Different things.
Google is history math.
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. So then...
I think chat's winning.
Shallan is like, fuck, I need to go buy a bunch of books. Oh, that's all in this chapter. So then she goes outside the conclave. We didn't really talk about Yalb, but Yalb is just this, like, good dude sailor that walked with her to the...
He's like,
he led her through town.
Yeah, she pays him to wait for her.
Their Uber driver was trying to overcharge them, but Yalb didn't let him overcharge them. And so she like tipped Yalb really well. And then when they get up to the door, she gave him like a fire mark, and he's like, that's a week's wages, and to wait a few hours. And she's like, yeah, I would really like for you to be here when I get back, just in case. So then she goes out, and Yalb is there with a bunch of soldiers, and Yalb is cheating at cards. And he's like, no, it's not bad that I was cheating, because like they knew I was cheating. The game that we were playing was they were trying to figure out how I was cheating. So like it's we were all in on it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I need a bookstore. And she's like, Yalb's like, got it. Great. So he goes to a bookstore. Got you.
Oh well, no, she's like, oh no, I failed. Like I'm not gonna be able to convince her in enough time to save my family.
Yeah.
And Yalb is like, you know what? 3rd time's the charm. Rule of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay? Threes. There's something weird about that fucking number.
He can't read, but the stories he's had read to him all had the rule of 3 in them.
He gets it. So she's like, you're right. I have an idea. I need a bookstore. And they go to a bookstore. And Yalb is like, this is the best one. Because it's the one that, like...
has books.
Well, it's the one that is the same, like, race as his people. I don't know. Culture? Race? They have different eyebrows. So they might actually genetically be different. I don't know.
Yeah.
They might be elves with the long eye, like is that what fucking Warhammer eyebrows?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have Warhammer eyebrows.
Or no, Warcraft.
Eyebrows.
World of Warcraft eyebrows.
Same thing.
So then basically they had the books, but he's like, I need 10 green marks. Whatever the emerald ones are.
I need a fuck ton of money.
And then she's like, I don't have that. I'm going to start choosing less books, not lesser. And then Yalb like burrows in, is like, Mish, you can't buy from this motherfucker. You got to buy from my boss, who's going to give you a discount. And the guy's like, well, fuck you. And Yalb had went out and found out who this guy's biggest competitor was. Yeah. And this is where I'm like, fuck, Yalb is the better character.
Cool. Yeah, I don't like Yalb. Keep him around.
Fuck Shallan. Make him the POV character. He's great.
Can Shallan keep Yalb as her ward?
Please. Like, no. Honestly. Can he please stay in the book?
He's great. Love him.
This dude, fucking fascinating. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, I like Yalb a lot.
He understood the assignment, for sure.
He reminded me of like Breeze, or like members of that crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, Yalb is goated with the sauce.
100%.
And so they like negotiate the bookseller down to way under what he wanted to get paid.
To be fair, what he asked for was basically theft.
Oh, yeah. Because of this scheme, and it works.
So she pays a reasonable price.
And she finds a nice little balcony where she's going to go read books until she hears that she's basically going to read as much reading as possible until Jasnah is going to leave the city. So
she goes back to the library and and she asks for a little alcove that she can like kind of see Jasnah in hers, but hide enough because she wants to know where Jasnah is to catch her before she like leaves the city, but doesn't want to be seen by her, which fails immediately. Jasnah shows up in her thing and it's like, oh, you're back again, you motherfucker.
But
see
she
you got books.
But she respects the books that she bought.
Yeah, she's like, okay, good choices. I approve. Let me see your bag. And she goes through everything that Shallan owns. This is where this is where the biology notes and the pictures and stuff. And she's like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna do it. You're coming with me. Buckle up for the ride of your life.
And Shallan, part 1, complete.
Love that for her.
Chapter 9, Damnation. Kaladin's really sad about being on the bridge, boys.
Everybody keeps dying.
This boy shows up who reminds him of Tien.
Yeah.
Boy dies.
Yeah.
It's sad. At this point in the reading, I was kind of like
depressed. Yeah.
There was a moment in this chapter where I was like, if this doesn't start turning soon, I'm gonna be pretty uninterested in the Kaladin shit.
Yeah, it's just gonna be too sad.
And obviously, chapter 11 is what is needed. It doesn't go on too long, but the opening of this is a little slow, and Kaladin is very I don't care. Kaladin reminds me of the worst D&D characters, but the difference is that Kaladin, before Kaladin is interacting with the rest of the characters of this book, he gets out of it. Whereas if you play your D&D character like Kaladin in this part, where he's just broody and I don't care.
And Sylph is like, Kaladin, what's wrong? And he's like,
yeah. There's just a point.
Sylph is the rest of the party being like, hey, do you want to talk about it? And he's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but actually,
yeah.
And so, like, I'm really grateful for Chapter 11, because in Chapter 9, there was a point where I was like, if this goes on for too much longer, this book is going to lose me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. Because then, Chapter 10, we get a flashback to Cal as a kid.
Cal, in our Dragonlance game, episode 19, going live... 19? Yeah, going live tomorrow on the channel.
Cal Garrow, not in that episode. Cal was not there. He
fair.
is with Ogre...
Don't worry
shaman
about it.
somewhere.
Don't worry about it. Spoilers.
Because Rob couldn't make it to the recording session.
Dragonlance.
Would you say your coverage of Chapter 9 is abridged? Probably, yeah. Not much happens.
Oh.
He's sad. The boy dies. Tien is Cal's brother.
Younger brother.
Liren is his dad, and they're treating this girl Sani. His dad is like a self-trained surgeon, I think.
Yes?
I think so.
Yeah, because he says he wants to send Cal to study like that he could never.
To study surgery in Kharbranth.
Yeah.
And so they basically have this chapter. They do save the girl.
She loses a finger, but like, you know.
But this chapter is really about setting up Cal as why is he so good at like medicine. Throughout the book, he keeps like being like, this is this disease, this is how you fix it. He seems to know a lot about like he seems to know a lot about medicine and poison and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we get this kind of this backstory on why, but it's funny because he learned all that stuff and he absorbed it, but he didn't really enjoy it. Like, he's late to this surgery session because he was like wanted to learn the quarterstaff, and he really wants to be a soldier. Like, his desire is to go fight.
Yeah.
But he, you know, his dad doesn't want that for him.
But it does also kind of explain his ability to rationale, like, strategically. Because he has, like, he has a brilliant mind. His dad is like, look, the shit that you know and that you can do is, like, is far beyond whatever I could have done. You are going to be so much better than I am. And I was like, oh, this is, like, really sweet. Too bad they're probably dead.
Joseph says, you know, I don't mean to be rude, but some guys have branded you guys as shills. That's hilarious.
Good for them.
Because who are we shilling for? I am so mean to so many things.
Yeah.
In this book club, I opened with, I liked this book, but, like, I didn't like Elantris and Warbreaker very much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I was a shill, why do I dislike so much?
And also, where is our check from Brandon Sanderson?
Yeah, the only people we get money from are MissyMountainGaming.com when you guys buy dice.
We shill for
and Gamer
MissyMountainGaming.com.
Subs when you buy Gamer Subs.
Yeah.
Those are the only companies that we shill for, and that's barely shilling because I do actually think they're very good products.
Yeah. No one's ever said a bad word about MissyMountainGaming.com.
Calling us a shill is so funny because, like, yeah, I like the first episodes of Acolyte. Didn't love them. And in those are, like, I didn't like the end of Ahsoka. Like, who am I shilling for?
We're not. Joseph just doesn't
People
get
think I'm just nitpicky and mean.
Good one. Good one.
I don't even like everyone in this book. Who am I shilling for?
Someone doesn't understand the meaning of the word. Judah, thank you for that super chat. Kaladin is classic Asian kid with doctor pants.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah. Kinda. Yeah, I get that.
Not like the most, but like there's definitely some of that in there.
The vibes are there. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, Kaladin has this, like, idea of, like, honor. He wants to learn honor. He doesn't even know what that is. He's 10, so he can't tell his dad. So, like, I get that. 100%. It's just what he's heard and absorbed. But, like, his dad is like, hey, I want to send you to school. And he's like, yeah, okay. Like, it takes him a minute, but he subconsciously kind of understands the gift that his dad is giving him. Yeah. It's a really, I loved this little, like, it's like a mini chapter in it. Like, I thought it was actually, it brought a lot of context to things. And who Kaladin is as a person.
Well, and then we get chapter 11, Droplets, which is Kaladin leaving the barrack after a day of running the bridge to go jump off the honor chasm and die. Yep. Syl is like, I can't be here anymore. I can't look at you like this. I gotta go, right? And so she leaves him, and he's like, you know what? Let's fucking end it all. We're done. And so he goes outside, and Gaz's like, what are you doing? And so Gaz has been... This is where we learn that you can, like, fill your money with Stormlight by leaving it out in the storm. And, like, it fills... This, to me, right now, so nonsensical.
It's like
I
wind
cannot
power.
wait to understand it.
It's like wind power.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's a thing that, like, I have no even theory on how that works. Can't wait for it to be explained.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, the storm actually, like, oh, okay, so it's literal stormlight.
Well, the storms have a severe amount of lightning. It might be like that.
Maybe, yeah. It could be like an electrical charge in the air, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
or a stormlight charge in the air, but it's like crackling.
Not 100%. Honestly, they might call stormlight electricity.
Fair. So Gaz has been collecting that in his money by leaving it outside. And he's like, "You here to steal my money?" And he's like, "No, I'm here to
die."
Die. And he's like, "Oh, honor chasm? Oh, I'm gonna stop being a dick then. Sorry, I can only be a dick to you until I know that you're suicidal, and then I have to stop because culture."
Yeah.
And so he goes to the chasm, and he's like, "I'm gonna jump off."
He's like, "Wait, leave your clothes."
Oh yeah, Gaz is like, "Well,
I don't want to have to go get them.
Someone might get hurt going down to like pull them off your corpse." So
yeah.
And so Kaladin goes, and he's standing there, and he's like, what the fuck am I doing?" And then Syl shows up and is like, "I brought you the most poisonous thing on the planet.
I saw a thing that made you happy, so I went and got it for you. I almost forgot all of my memories to do this." I was like, what the
Which
fuck?
Which tells me that she is connected to his... She is like, bonded specifically to his sense of honor. Honestly, it's probably honor because that's what's brought up in the honor chasm and the honor of soldiering in the previous. She's probably an honor spren.
I just thought it was protagonist spren.
No, it's got to be something. It's got to be something real. Like, there's got to be a name for it. So I'm gonna go with honor spren because of him bringing up honor in the previous chapter to this.
It might be like, because this has never happened to people before that we know of. It has to be something kind of rare. Or she's just like a mutated spren.
But there's got to be a reason why she has the memories close to him. Like it has to be like him that is, and that's why I think it's a bond of some kind.
And she remembers the battles. She remembers him caring about people. So maybe she's a love spren.
Love spren. She's a love spren.
But like kind
love
of.
Spren. She's a love spren.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It could be that. Because, like, it's always when they're fighting, and she remembers him, like, saving Sen and, like, bringing him in. So maybe it's also, like, camaraderie spren. I don't know. There's a bunch of things that it could be.
Alto Clef says, why not bravery spren? And the thing is, I don't view Kaladin as brave.
Well,
that isn't what I would say his...
There's also a lot of brave people.
I don't see him as bravery, right? His trait is about the way that he honors the people around him.
Yeah.
If anything, it's more like camaraderie is a good word, but I feel like that's too long.
I know. Family. It's
agape.
I was thinking of that super chat. Still so sweetly ironic here without knowing it, and always makes me cry and smile at the same time. No, that was a moment that I was like, oh, like, because she's like, brings him this thing that she doesn't know what it is, and it just happens to be like poison while he's there ready to kill himself. Like, it is very funny.
Finofika says, remember honor in Cradle? I don't, actually.
Wasn't present.
Wasn't detected.
Actually.
And so Kaladin is like, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm going to go make life better for the Bridge Boys. And I was a little disappointed here because I thought that he was going to like leave and like not go back to the bridge. Because I don't know that what's that on your head, a wig spread? I'm like,
will you wear wigs?
Do you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? I don't find the bridge stuff the most interesting, but I'm hoping that we don't get a lot of scenes of them just running the bridge, because that to me is just not where I'm the most interested in him.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that we can get away from that and into like the mystery of the battle and that kind of stuff that I find that I hope that's the direction this is going.
Yeah.
And not just like the physical realities of the Bridge Boys for hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
Because there's a limitation on how interesting I think that will be.
Yeah, that's why I think
it's fine so far. I don't have any problems with where we're at with it.
That's why
it's more the like trajectory could get a little.
That's why I think
tedious.
Bridge 4 is part 2.
Which will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my prediction.
And honestly, if Bridge 4 is filled with interesting people, the problem is that right now, like, nobody has a personality.
Because no one knows each other's names. Yeah, so they aren't people.
I'm just hoping the Bridge 4 thing can get more interesting to me than it currently is.
Yeah. 100%.
James MC, thank you for that super chat. Love how you now have to qualify. I can't wait for it to be explained to stop the "it will all make sense" comments. Loving book. It's because people seem to like think that I'm gonna stop reading the book if I'm like, I don't understand this yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's where I'm at.
Maybe one day we'll get there, but thank you for that super chat.
Linus Vikstrom says, we made it time for book club. Time to catch up at light speed. I believe in you.
We'll catch you on the other side.
Shkofandy.
Thank you for that super
chat.
Chat.
Years ago, I tried reading this book, but couldn't get past the first few chapters. I stopped for a few years. Later, I tried again. Now it's my favorite series. That's what people keep saying.
People keep saying that.
And here's the thing. I'm going to be really honest. I think that everything we've read this week was really well written.
Yep.
I also don't think it's the most interesting thing I've ever read. And the whole, like, The Way of Kings is the Brandon Sanderson book shit. Like, that to me tells me the end of the book is probably great. But right now, the people who dropped the book by this point, I do get it. I don't think it's bad.
Right.
But I do get it.
And also, like, you have to take the humanity of it into account. We view art differently based on how we are feeling that day.
Yeah.
If you have less time in your life, I could understand you picking up this book being like, nah. If you're like, I got time to chill, you're in a certain mood for it, and you pick it up and you're able to enjoy it. Like, that also, I think, has to be taken into account when
100%.
When dedicating a lot of your time and energy into a fucking epic.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, we've had a lot of comments from people that are like, first time I tried reading this, I noped out.
Yeah.
And then I tried it again, and whatever it was that day, it just clicked. I was able to get past a certain point, or I was feeling a certain way, whatever the hell it is, and then you love it. And I think that that's so fascinating.
Yeah. Laudaru says, it's all been world building. If you like world building, it'll be an instant hit, but if not, it can drag. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I think that there is a lot of world building in this, but some of that world building is written in the form of, I'm not going to tell you how it works yet, but I'm going to tease that there's something here.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I think that this book overdoes that a little bit at the beginning. I just think there's a few too many factions that are introduced as having mysterious desires. But I don't understand anything about them yet, so I don't really care about their mysterious desires, because I don't know I don't really know anything about the Parshendi at all, other than that they're black with red skin, and that
some of them
and so the
are,
fact that there's this
really
like
docile.
Conspiracy about them is interesting, but I don't know anything about them on a basic level.
Yeah.
And so and that's fine for like one thing, but it just feels like every culture is that right now, and I feel like
I don't have a good grasp
it's
on
a bit heavy
one.
in that right now.
Yeah, I felt like I had a good foundation in one and a good grasp on it, I think the like surrounding stuff wouldn't be as much, but it's just a lot, all of it. All of it is like, holy shit, I need a fucking chart and a dictionary and a fucking Bible and like all of these things for all of these different like places and things and peoples and all of that.
Yeah, and so says, issue with the world building for me in this book is that it connects to nothing that is in the plot of the actual book in a meaningful way. I get that feeling.
Yeah, right now
I understand
that's
that
where
feeling,
we're
and
at.
I kind of agree with you a little bit. I'm enjoying it. Like I don't think anything's bad in the book. I don't really have like a low or like a criticism. Finding a low for the reading is going to be tough this week, because I don't really think there is one. I think it's well written. It's just kind of like right now I kind of feel like we're 200 pages in, and I feel like I've had about 50 pages worth of movement.
Yeah. We've got our interludes to talk about still, which are 3 different little mini chapters for different people.
Oh, we should talk before we get to those. Kaladin goes back, beats the shit out of Gaz. He's like, Bridge 4 is mine, motherfucker. I do what I want. And Gaz is like, sure. Yeah. Then he goes in and he wakes everybody up by being like, hey,
listen.
If you don't tell me your name, I'm going to go dangle your body off of a cliff. And I'm like, that's one way to get people on your side, Cal.
One way or another.
Tell me your name, or I will murder you. I'm your fucking bridge leader.
I'm gonna learn all of your names tonight.
Mr. Kite says the Spren are so interesting to me. It kind of drives me nuts that everyone just ignores them. There are too many Spren.
It's
they're almost uninteresting because they're everywhere.
Read the books ignore them, or the people in the world ignore them? Because the people in the world, it would be like having like dust. Like it'd just be so commonplace for the people that live in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're talking about the people that like are reading the books or the people in the books. But I find them interesting as well. I just think that like that if you're talking about the characters in the book, they see this every day. It's like not a weird occurrence to them, you know. Beats the shit out of Gaz. It's like, mine. I'll give you my money every like 5th mark or whatever. And Kaladin is now leader of Bridge 4.
Yeah.
Jeffrey T, thank you for that super chat. This book feels like jumping into the 2nd book of a series and struggling to figure out what's going on. You mentioned that.
I said that. I was like, I feel like
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And part of it is things like when we're with Shallan, her being like, God, I've changed so much in this 6-month adventure, and I'm like, that means nothing to me because I don't know what you were like before. So just describing a character as being different than they used to be is like, oh,
feels
sure.
Like there was a prequel or something. Yeah.
I guess you're right. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And like Kaladin is already a god at so many things as the beginning of his character that it's like Kaladin doesn't have anywhere to like get better as a soldier, right? He can only get magical powers.
Well, that's not necessarily true. He was very good in a local small like skirmish battle. That's not
if
like
you're fighting 6 dudes on your own, you are a god level soldier.
Sure, okay. No, that's fair.
But fair. Just realistically, right? If you can fight 6 men on your own in any combat scenario, you are near the top of human ability without magic.
Yeah.
Fighting 3 people on your own in real life is next to impossible.
Yeah.
It's only possible in movies where people fight one at a time.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? But like the actual like reality of fighting multiple combatants at once who are similar in your magic level, because you know once you get into like the Jedi can do it, and it's because they've got the fucking Force, right?
Yeah.
But like real people fighting multiple people 6-on-1 is a crazy level of ability for a normal person to have at the beginning of a book.
Yeah.
Where he like has to become a shard bearer or something.
Yeah.
Right? He has to like. In order to level up from here, there's got to be some magic involved because he's already at like the peak of.
Yeah, like maybe he can use Storm. I don't know. We'll find out.
It does feel like these characters have had kind of like a lot of their adventure already.
Yeah, but we do the
which is weird because the plot doesn't start in this book yet. We're not at the plot yet. We're at the pre-plot.
We finished all of the.
But they've already gone. The characters have a story's worth of plot that's already happened to them. And then we see this chunk of time in their lives where there isn't a lot of plot.
Yeah.
So that we can get to a book later that has plot.
Yeah. Interlude 1 is Ishik.
Yeah.
It's probably pronounced incorrectly. Is a fisherman who literally live in a lake. I was like, honestly, that sounds fucking rad.
Yeah.
Although your feet would be so pruny all the time. And basically, he is helping some random people that we have no idea who they are look for Hoyd. And that's all that we know.
Yeah.
Cool. Prelude
so, are these people... Okay, so there's 3 guys looking for Hoyd. Are they from somewhere... Are they from where Hoyd is from?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
We don't know where Hoyd is from, so
yeah.
Brandon
this really threw
the name
me.
Hoyd.
This really threw me.
Keeps like putting this like the name Hoyd in these different books. It's
weird.
Stop reusing the name. You know, make it a different name. Kidding. Prelude 2 is.
It's like if we hadn't non-bala.
Yeah.
So we're looking for Hoyd again. I'm starting to like wonder what the. Because at some point these things have to connect, right? Otherwise,
no, never.
He's
just gonna be in all the books.
That to me is really weird to do.
I know.
Because it takes me out. It took me out of the book.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because I suddenly had to be like, oh, this isn't its own book anymore. Suddenly, it is sort of the like MCU issue sometimes where they just start like bringing up stuff that you're like, oh fuck, right? Like I need to remember what happened in She-Hulk. You know what I mean? And the Hoid thing is a very... It was weird that it came out this way.
Wait, I have to watch Secret War to watch the Marvels? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Will says, question about the Pure Lake region. If everyone is knee-deep in water all the time, where does the poop go? I have another question for you. What about Trenchfoot?
Well,
Trenchfoot killed 750,000 people during World War I.
Trenchfoot was your sweat and bacteria mixed with the
No, it's like water seeping into your shoes.
Yeah, it is the dampness.
Yeah, but if your feet are wet all the time like this, I feel like you would eventually die of this.
I feel like if they're submerged in water, it's fine. But if you have fabric that is trapping the dampness in there, your feet aren't gonna start growing mold on them if they are submerged in water. You're moving all the time and there's free water flowing through your toes. I thought it was the trapping of bacterias and moisture.
I don't know. This culture, the Pure Lake culture, seems to be your feet. You're in water all the time in your feet, which seems like it wouldn't be good for people. And also, they are actively not putting on sunscreen and standing outside without shirts so that they're constantly absorbing the sun all the time. It just seems like they would all die of either skin cancer or some kind of foot infection.
How do you know cancer exists in this world?
Good point. There might not be
cancer.
Go.
There you go. Yeah, the one thing that was a little bit weird is that Pure Lake seems like a very still lake. I was like, oh, if it's running water, I totally understand how this would work. But because it is still and seems to be unmoving and perfectly clear, I was like, yeah, that I don't know if that would...
I love when It's here says, this isn't Earthall. Guys, we know.
Yeah, we're just having fun.
We know.
Don't take away our fun.
We know! the comments are guys, it's because it's magic. And I'm like, I know it's magic.
We're just having fun. Yeah, I don't know.
But Hoid is here, which is
yeah.
Fine. It did, I will say the connections between the books, because they don't connect in any meaningful way, they sort of just take me out of it because they're never... The Hoid of it all is never important enough. It's always superfluous.
Yeah.
And so now it is starting to unless these books start to connect the Cosmere together somehow, I think that Hoid just kind of reminds me that I'm reading a book.
Well, it's
rather than letting me be immersed in the storytelling.
It's what Arzu said. This is kind of the last entry point into this.
Yeah.
So I think it is all going to start being connected.
I honestly,
very much so.
I hope they either do I hope they either start connecting more or less.
Right.
And by less I mean not at all.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Because there's a point where I'm how old is Hoid? How can he be in all these places at the right time every time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Johnny Coleman, thank you for that super chat.
Thank
it's
you,
okay.
Johnny.
They learned how to scare away Trenchfoot Spren.
Right, you just keep rot Spren away.
Yeah.
Symbiotic bacteria eating fish.
I guess it would be really easy to find dead bodies in this world. Because you'd just be there's a lot of rot Spren over there.
Oh, maybe.
Gotta go figure out what that is.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's athlete's foot eating bacteria in the Pure Lake.
Woof. Okay. Anyways.
Oh my god, I didn't know about the athlete's foot eating bacteria.
We get POV of Shallan's brother, who is a sociopath and likes torturing small animals. Never people, but
this
definitely...
dude's definitely fucking gonna be a serial killer later on. But here's the thing, Shallan's also I collect people from my sketchbook. I'm worried about this family.
Their dad was an insane, psychotic person, and he traumatized all of his children. Yeah. That is exactly what happened.
I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying that I'm concerned.
They all have sociopathic tendencies.
Existing.
Okay. Yeah, he's just ripping the legs off of animals. It's really fucked up.
Yeah, off of crabs.
Yeah.
Guys, do you like crabs?
He basically is Shallan is off doing her thing, and...
She's you wouldn't know it's still alive, but it's still alive.
Oh, God, yeah. Blech, yeah. Blech. Yeah, fucked up. Some fucked up shit. That's basically it. There's not much there, except that one of their brothers is depressed, one of their brothers is dead, and one of their brothers is a sex addict?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting though that he's he resents Shallan because she's the only one of them that their father never really got mad at. which is so interesting because her like perspective on it was that like, yeah, it's just
this is gonna be like a little bit weirdly personal, but I don't really care because we don't speak anymore. But my grandfather was basically like in this situation in his family where he had all sisters who never got beat, but like because he was the son, he got beat. And it's so weird to me that he's now, we don't talk because he's like a huge like Trump supporter, but he basically said that if he had been born in a different like time that he would be trans because like he was so traumatized by the like different, like the treating of different genders within the family. And so it's so interesting that the brother sees this and is jealous of Shallan, whereas like Shallan has to deal with her own trauma in a weird way that may not be like physical beatings and like attacks. Yeah. But she is also mentally fucked. Like they are all fucked up. And so I hope that we get to meet each of the brothers and that they're relevant to the plot. But for this like weird family dynamic to be like, there is Brandon Sanderson being like trauma on a pedestal and this is the family tree of it. Yeah. And I was like, I don't really know why this POV was there because it didn't really give us much new information
just
except
to introduce that there is a big psychopath? Problem. No. It's about the end of the POV, which is that there's a big problem.
Big problem.
Someone's found out something.
Big problem.
Yeah. So Wickham shows up and is like, we have a problem.
Yes. Oh, good. He's not sad anymore today, and we have a big problem.
And then the final interlude of this, we go back to Szeth, son Valen on Truthless of the Shin.
Yeah.
Who is now with a man named Took.
Fool of a Took.
And basically this guy's like showing him off and being like, look how cool my slave is, and people buy him free drinks because of that. It's a weird thing.
Weird flex, but okay.
So
look, he'll cut himself if I tell him to. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, the Szeth. This is mostly this chapter is really mostly just like Szeth pondering about his like oaths and shit and what, how he like talks really well so people don't want to keep him as a slave for too long because it freaks them out.
They make him uncomfortable. He talks like a light ice.
And how much he loves like digging ditches because he doesn't want to think about the fact that he's a murderer. And so what? That's literally...
Yeah, he's like, if people don't know about my killing stick, they won't ask me to kill people.
And so they go out in the night and then Took is just violently murdered.
Yeah.
And
he's like, oh, maybe this will be the one that keeps me around a while.
Before Szeth can save him, the people murdering him grab the little marble, and so he can't save him because now those people are his masters. And Szeth is like, you're my masters now. And they're like, you sure about that? Well, all right, we're going to be the best masters you ever had. We're going to do everything we say how you do.
Go down to the creek.
We're going to take you down to the creek. You're going to do some fishing with it, you know what I mean? Yeah. That made perfect sense to me.
Oh, I understood it, but
I'm from the South.
Don't know if the microphone.
My family is. And so he's like, I can do everything except kill myself, and I can't give you up my shard blade, but he doesn't say that because he's like, if they don't know about it, they don't need to know.
Don't ask, don't tell.
If they ask, they'll know. But
yeah, don't ask, don't tell.
That's it. That's the end of the reading.
Hell yeah. We do have these weird epitaph thingies.
Yeah, what do you think is going on in the epitaphs of the final moments before people die?
So I had a theory because you didn't get to see this because you listened to the audiobook, but there is a map in between one of the chapters, like a thing of a map, and it has the date, I think, of like 1173, which like all of these death things are like 1171, 72, and 73. Yeah. And so I thought that like all of the epitaphs were deaths that were leading up to the moment that Kaladin goes full, like, Super Saiyan. And, like, they're connected somehow. But then I didn't... I had that theory before when the epitaphs were, like, only in, like, a single year. But then it was a few years. And so I was like, oh, maybe they're not connected to a single event.
It is weird, because we just read Cradle, that had a similar, like, robot that can, like, peek in on people.
Oh no, those are taken by the Ardents. They're like...
Oh no, it was the structure of the chapters.
Oh.
That it was like at the beginning of the chapters, it was like end of inquiry.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of that, is what I'm saying. But yeah, the Ardents are keeping track of people's final words for something. There must be power in them. Maybe... Oh. No, they're trying to figure out what's the most important thing. It's from the prologue. Dalinar needs to find the most important words a man can say, and they're assuming that the most important words a man can say will come as the final words of a person. That someone will figure out what are the most important words a man can say as their final words.
Yeah, okay. I get that.
Right?
Why are these Ardents all, like, present? Like, can they spy on people?
No, people call people to their deathbed.
Ardents, I guess, if they are religious, yeah.
I mean, like, we do that. We have that in every hospital in the United States has a religious person that will come to your room when you're dying.
Cool.
John Green used to do that.
What?
Yeah, John Green used to be a,
like a pastor?
No, it's not a pastor. It's like a religious counselor, basically. Chaplain, that's the word.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah, he like, because he was gonna go to like seminary, and he used to like be a chaplain in a hospital, and he would talk to people before they died.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I couldn't do it.
It's a beautiful job. I think that like if you have this, not the stomach really, but the willpower to be able to bring comfort to the dying, I think that's an incredible. People who do that and are able to really like bring that compassion to end of life care is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if like mentally I would be able to, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine that. And anyone who does, I think is, regardless of the fact that like I don't believe what they believe typically, I think there's something beautiful about being able to like show people the kindness of, especially people who don't have anyone, right? Of just being there in their final moments and letting them pass in company is an incredible, incredible gift to give.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I could do that. I like that theory, though. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, also, we're done. Hi, guys. Welcome to the end of the book club. If you like the video, like, subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button, leave me comments down below because we'll get to it in a second. Then need us.
Follow us around the internet.
Yeah, I'm at nerdynightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
We're going to do high and low. And then we're not going to have Smut Corner this week because literally where? Like, literally where in this reading would there be sex?
Syl is a horny sprin.
Claris, what's your high?
My high is, I think, oh man, I'm gonna pick two. Forgive me. My two highs are the moment where Shallan is drawing. I think it's just like really beautifully written. And then my other high is the chapter 11 that we reacted to, the moment where Kaladin is a changed person and makes the decision to keep going. It was really powerful.
People are saying Shallan and Jasna, but Shallan's not 18, right?
I thought she was 17.
Yeah, we don't do Smut Corner with minors on this channel.
Yeah.
We just don't do it. It's a rule.
Yeah.
We wait until they're adults.
It's a pretty big age gap in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My low, because we do her high, my low, her low, my high. Compliment sandwich this bitch.
Hell yeah.
My low for the section, I don't know. It's well written. I guess my low is it's a little slow. Like that's about as all. It's not as interesting as I wanted it to be. But none of it's bad, right? There's no like logical leaps that don't make any sense. There's no like characters acting wildly out of the reality of humanity, right?
Yeah.
There just isn't anything like that. It's well written. It makes sense. It's not as engaging as I wanted.
Yeah.
That is the closest I could come to a low. It all makes sense, and like the characters are interesting, if not yet interesting enough for me to really care about them. But like Shallan is, I don't have a strong feeling about her, but I don't have a negative feeling about her. I just am sort of in the middle on a lot of it, and I'm ready for it to ramp up. I'm excited for it to ramp up, but I don't have like a real low, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think my low is just the ripping off crab legs. I was like, this is awful and I hate it.
Oh, yeah. That's
what is your high?
I really liked chapter 1. I really liked the battle sequence.
With Sen?
Yeah. And honestly, I'll be honest with the audience. I was disappointed in chapter 2 at the beginning when he's like a slave and it's 8 months later.
Yeah.
Because I was actually very invested in Dalit, Sen, and... Like, I was excited for the story of those three characters trying to figure out how to survive a war.
Yeah.
that was an exciting start to me for a story that I was like, oh, I like this squad. I like the idea of this. I want to like get into like the signals and all of this stuff. And then to jump into chapter 2 and have Kaladin be like uninspired and dour and like all of the life that chapter 1 had.
Yeah.
To just have it be gone. I'm not disappointed. It's not a low because I get the story they're doing, and it would be weird to be like, it's my low that they told the story they're telling.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I was like, oh, I really liked chapter 1. And then chapter 2, he's just like, I don't care about anything. And I was like, oh, okay, well then, great. And then chapter 4, he's like, I don't care about anything. And then it's not until chapter 11, he's like, I care again. And I'm like, fucking great. I'm glad that you care.
Let's do this.
Because I don't care if you don't care, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely think my high was chapter 1. I really enjoyed it as a start to the like main timeline of the book.
Yeah.
I thought the Dalit and Sen were really fun together. I liked the dynamic of the like Sen just trying to keep up but not knowing what the banging is. Who's just like being led kind of like a school of fish, and there was a feeling of like hope in the air.
Yeah.
That I just found very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good book so far.
Look, like I said, I am excited to like keep reading because I feel like we got to the start of it. You know what I mean? I maybe we'll audiobook it on our drive into the city. But yeah, thank you so much for book club. This was a lot of fun.
It's Cherise says, apparently Shallan is 17 on Roshar, which is 19 on Earth.
Yeah, once you get into that, I'm not.
That's the only way I could read Game of Thrones.
Is if you were like,
And the years in Game of Thrones kept getting longer.
Yeah. Because
the characters having sex kept getting younger, and because Malice, I think in Dance with Dragons, I think she's 9.
Well, you said Missandei is 9.
Missandei, sorry, Missandei's 9.
Malice is the dragon that belongs to Rhaenys, I think. Yeah.
Missandei is 9 for the like lesbian bathtub scene between her and Daenerys is 14.
You know what? Years
so
are
like,
double. She's 18.
2 Earth years is 1, because I don't want to be reading a 9-year-old having sex, George R. Martin. That's really weird.
Yeah.
It's Cherry says, I don't understand why Sanderson keeps making 17-year-old female protagonists. It's a great question. It is a great question.
18.
I think it is because, honestly, if I had to guess, I would think that they're 17 because that is the age that a lot of Mormon missionaries go out for their 2-year mission, 17 to 19. And so I think that Brandon Sanderson is probably, consciously or not, viewing 17 as the age of a coming-of-age story, because for Mormons, at least the Mormons that I knew, all left for their mission at 17.
Interesting, okay.
And so I do think it's that. That is the age of leaving home to do stuff.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I do think it. I think for him culturally, it's probably related to that. But
yeah,
that's
fair. Y'all, we're gonna be live again tomorrow for The Expanse. We're gonna chat The Expanse show, so come back for that. It's gonna be a fun time at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, I'm celebrating my 5-year stream anniversary. I have no idea what we're gonna do yet, so that's gonna be fun. I can't wait for that. What else? That's it. Thanks for
Astral Dusk, new D&D game. They're fighting dragon things.
Yes.
Tomorrow, 1 p.m. on the Roleplay Relay. Y'all. I'm just gonna ask. I'm gonna ask kindly.
We have an ask, please.
There are people in this room. We produced a full Candela Obscura show. All my ask is that everyone on this video just click the link and go
drop a like.
Just go like episode 4.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch it.
No.
I would love if you watched it.
If you let it run in the background, that's also cool.
But if you could watch 3 seconds of this video and give it a like. Just give it a like and watch 3 seconds.
Yeah. It would help us.
You don't
so
know
much.
how much that would help us.
Yeah, like
we're trying to launch this other channel, and like it's tough. Launching channels is hard.
Yeah, TTRPG is a tough space to break into.
1 like on that video means the world to us. If you could, I just dropped the link in chat. If you're on YouTube, I would really appreciate it. Yeah. Jesus nerdy in a suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a era appropriate suit.
Yeah. We like rented costumes. You slicked your hair. Wild. You have to watch 30 seconds for the like to count.
Leave the video on muted.
Yeah.
Don't watch it, but like have it on.
Yeah, don't watch episode 4 first. Go watch episode 1.
I think it's a good story. It's the viewership is like not keeping up, so I'm trying to figure out how to save the show a little bit.
It's fine. It is one of those things where we expect that just it's going to grow over time. But hey, we're trying to give it all the help that we can and the help that you can. So we really, 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 really appreciate it. We put a lot of work into the show. It's so much fun.
Incredible cast. We got really lucky with the people who are in it.
Yeah, it's only going to be 6 episodes.
Yeah, so there's 2 more, one Wednesday and then one the following Wednesday.
It's good.
And then the whole story's done. It's one story, beginning, middle, end.
Yeah, pretty easy to follow, I think. Like it's not super convoluted. It's just a really fun
and the episodes are less than 2 hours.
Story. So
most episodes are under an hour and a half. So it's not the longest actual play ever.
Yeah.
I really appreciate everyone who could go give that a like.
Yeah. It would mean a lot.
Yeah, it means a lot
to us.
Thank you so much, everyone. This was so fun. And yeah, we will see you all next week for chapter 12 through chapter
good question.
20.
Good question.
Chapter 12 through chapter 20. Don't forget, chapter 13 and 15 will be audiobook reactions if you're a member of the Patreon or the YouTube members. Got a lot of new members in today, so if you want to watch the audiobook reactions, you can do that. Oh, the pins are gone. Yeah, chapter 20. Chapter 12 through 20, 13, and 15 right now are audiobook reactions. Right. If people commission other audiobook reactions, we will do those as well.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, everybody. Do something nerdy tonight.
Yeah, this was fun.
And thank our mods.
Thank you, mods. Yes, thank you, mods. You do the Lord's work. Mwah.